Hi folks, we are live on both YouTube and Twitch. Let's get this show on the road. How are we all doing today? For me, we are launching, as I've been saying, we are launching the Old World campaign. So if you don't know, this is, let me show you, for those of you who don't know, it is a completely new mega map. We are going to be conquering all the way from Tamurkhan's start position. We're going to be doing a long road trip all the way over to Nuln. I'm not sure we're going to be conquering the whole map or anything quite like that. I think when you see the scale of the whole thing, you'll understand why we're not quite doing that. That's enthusiastic even for me. But we are definitely going to be conquering the whole thing. We're definitely going to be making a good attempt at things, you know? So, for those of you who don't know, the map doesn't just make... The mod doesn't just make the map huge. Though making the map huge is definitely a big part of it, right? The other advantages of the mod. Hey Neov, how you doing? The other advantage of the map is that it adds like so many more factions. It adds a lot of more lore accuracy, and it really changes up the starting positions of a lot of lords. So if you're playing Ikit and you're bored of like always fighting against Bretonia, then here you go. You got something new. It adds a lot of gameplay variety. It changes things up. It's a very hard mod to run. My computer over there is going to sound like a nuclear reactor, but in terms of what it offers, it's a pretty fun mod to run. I reckon if your computer is good now, once again, RAM prices and GPU prices being what they are, if you can't run it, I wouldn't recommend upgrading your computer just to run this, right? But if you can run it, it's definitely worth trying. How you doing, Nev? Are you enjoying the Steam sales? Anything you're getting? Just checking something for myself, and then let's begin. Yeah, the Steam sales are good. Like, it's just like one of those things. Like, I'm not sure. Oh, you got Oxyotl. That's a good one. Like, whatchamacallit? Torox is pretty good as well. Torox is one of those things that's like, he's a bit messy because beastmen themselves are a bit messy, but when it's played by the player, it can be very fun. I'm gonna give the usual advice I always give when you play Torox, right? Grab the Sword of Cain. There is no downsides to beastmen. I know it's like the most basic advice for beastmen, but it's basic for a reason, right? It is just like, there's no downside to the Sword of Cain. Everybody hates you already, so don't worry about that. And you have no diplomacy or anything else. So, it's kind of hard to show the scale of this map, but like, Tamurkhan starts in the top right of the map, right? And just to show you, we are just going to navigate all the way down. Like, it is just a mega map from one side to the other. This is not the map you're used to. It is a fun game mode. It's one of those things is like, once again, it's hell to run. I reckon it's because it's really pushing the limits of the game. It's intense to run, but it's also very fun. Yeah, it is on the Steam's Workshop. You need a Mixu's Unlocker, which is just like a lot of mods need it to run the mods. Not sure why. And then it's the Old World campaign mod. It's worth trying because once again, you can just play as Carl. You can just conquer the empire. Instead of being like 20 provinces, we're talking like a prop thing. You'll have different lords in different locations, so you actually have different matchups. And you also just, you know, if you are like, you really like painting the map, and I mean like really painting the map, it's the mod for you. This, once again, the map is huge. You go from like 200 factions, 250 factions, which I think is the normal amount, to something like 500-600. Okay, maybe 400. I think I might be overstating it slightly, but like it is quite a big difference. And it is worth trying. You should always experience it once or twice. Like once again, if your computer can't run it, maybe tone it back down. But it is. How you doing, Tarny? How are things for you? Did you get anything for the Steam sale? I was just asking Neov. And also anyone else watching on YouTube or Twitch, like, are you enjoying the sale? Are you getting anything? What are you up to? What are you looking forward to playing this holiday season? You know, they need to add a Santa character. Yeah, you beat me to the punch. Christmas is going to be a good time. I obviously... Oh boy, don't shoot me. Let me turn on my defenses. Damage resistance. Yeah, a gaming laptop. Yeah, it might look... Try it, right? There's no downsides to trying it. I agree with you. You might end up being cooked, so you have to be careful. As to like what I learned from like trying out. I only tried like the first battle because I wanted to make sure like everything was working good. your frontline infantry as Nurgle is a good old 28 speed. So you actually run in the situation where you can outdistance your own men, and then they take a lot of damage early for no reason. So I'm gonna try to move together. Yeah, look, I think I enjoyed uni from like the social aspect of uni. I'm not sure I miss my dissertation. My dissertation, I wanted to do a bunch of studies, and then every time the teacher was like, no, you can't do that, Max. Why? Ethics. Budget. And it's like, okay, that's annoying. So I kind of like, I was underwhelmed with like what I did on my dissertation. It's like, it's one of those like, I'm glad it's over kind of things. But good luck. It's always, look, it's good to get it finished out of the way, right? And now, yeah, you can dedicate your life to gaming, which is what gaming is for. Like, it's what studies are for, right? Just to get in the way of your gaming. Well, this was pretty easy. Let me just conquer him. Fair enough. Like, I wanted to do, so I did psychology as my degree, and I wanted to do, because, you know, testosterone affects things like your political views. So I wanted to know if it was like a case of just like, I wanted to test, like, if I give people steroids, and I had several people who were willing to do it, can I influence people's political opinions? Unfortunately, the ethics got in the way of that one, and there was a few other ones where I was like, and the teacher was like, oh, we don't have the budget for it. I was like, sir, I am happy to fund this study. I promise you, I will pay for it. It was still no ethics. Ethics got in the way. But yeah, there was a few fun ones where it was like, I wonder, like, if, which one influences the other, you know? But all in all, yeah, the writing killed me. For me, it was just like, I wasn't interested in the final subject I ended up picking it just because, like, okay, that's what I have to pick, right? Chaos Warriors versus Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. Yeah, that's probably a matchup that I should assist. But, yeah, it would have been really interesting. It's just like, you know, I just need to, like, you know, pick some, like, shithole country where I can just run my science experiments without any supervision. That would be the solution. Let me just gank these guys in the rear. There we go. Unfortunately, the University of Essex was not down for that mad scienting. There was a few other ones. I forget what some of my other ones were, because that one was an ethics and a funding issues. Another one were funding issues. Yeah, I wanted to do quite a lot. I quite enjoy. I think I was using lasers to change the chemical composition of outlets. What does that involve? So you like heat the metal, or is it like a bit more than that? Go on, but yeah, like psychology. There are parts of psychology that like that interest me. So like autism, obviously being one. Child development, like evolutionary psychology. I really love evolutionary psychology, and I like child development. Those are the three parts of psychology I enjoy. Everything else bores me to death. Like you couldn't pay me to give a shit about like, oh, this part of the brain and the neurons and the like eyesight and how it affects things, and like boring. But yeah, like Evo Psych and autism and all of those stuff. That there you have my attention. Okay, I have engineer's knapsack for Tamurkhan. Not exactly a useful thing to get. I can get it later for like the legendary hero, right? I think I'll auto-resolve this one and be a little boring. I vaporize some elements from aluminium alloy and then melt and mix some other elements to enhance it. Okay. Science was never my forte. I think in my second years of GCSE, I had 6 science teachers in 1 year. And because none of them would pass information on to each other, I ended up not really, like, obviously I kind of didn't go anywhere with my studies. So it became one of those things where like I used to have good grades and then they declined really steadily. So yeah, let's focus on the objective. So once I actually don't know who starts near me. That's the thing, right? Is I don't know who my major enemies are nearby. I don't know any other things. So I have played the mod before, but I always played it as an Empire playthrough. So I would play Carl, and then, you know, you're playing like a new and more intense getup for Carl. I've never played this part of the world, because like you can play very isolated parts of the world. I wish I had left the world map, the show the whole world mod. I probably should have kept that one. But like if you've never seen like the Chaos War, I'm just gonna do something that's probably not very economically smart. I'm my first time playing Tamurkhan. I'm just gonna hire everything. It's like the Chaos Dwarf region of this map. It looks like what it's supposed to. It's this like massive industrial complex that like is layers and layers of like factory. Let me try to see, like, you won't be able to see it. You can see it actually, like, you can see like the outlines on the map. Do you see how there's these like big roads that lead into it, right? This is where like the trains come in and the materials, and like there's this like concentric, if you look at the mini map on the side, there's these like concentric rings of industry. Like it is a very intense map in a good way. Now we're gonna get to the difficult part of this mod, which is like the end turn. The end turn is definitely something you I want carcinogenics, right? Yeah. Okay, what factions do you enjoy? Because my advice on like what DLC is good really depends on A, what do you enjoy as a playstyle? Because maybe you want to try something new. So what do you enjoy as a playstyle? And then what factions do you enjoy that you don't have all the DLC for? Because I don't want you to do what everybody does when they buy this game. And it's like, oh, I'm going to buy 16 DLCs for factions I'm only going to play once. Don't do that. So, do you enjoy Malachi and Elspeth? Have you tried them? Have you played through them? Do you own Ikit? If you've played Skaven and you like Eshin, do you own Ikit? That is the obvious one, is like, Ikit Claw, I love my boy. You finished Malachi. So the thing with Malachi is that you can get the King and the Warlord DLC. The issue with King of the Warlord DLC is that it's an intense campaign. You definitely face a lot of challenges, especially early, right? But the issue is the units you get from King and the Warlord are not so impactful. None of them are like must-haves. I need to conquer this. Okay, so that's interesting. So I took a bit of a wrong turn. Do I actually want to go back? I feel like I actually might want to go back and just complete my first settlement. A strange start. But like, so King and the Warlord would be a DLC for Dwarf. It'd add a few things. And once again, if you want an actual challenge, if you feel like, hey, my initial start was too overpowered as Malachi, which is definitely a risk, and you want to like challenge yourself a little more, try Belagar. It's a bit tough, and it's just, if you want to be completionist about it. Now, for Empire, the 2 DLCs for Empire are really not important. If you just own Elspeth and the Base Lords, you're pretty covered. Now, out of the 2 ones you do have, you have the Huntsman Expedition, which gives you also Nakai the Wanderer, which is quite good. If you like Lizardman, you probably want to get the Huntsman Expedition DLC, because it will give you stuff for Nakai the Wanderer, and it will give you stuff for Lizardmen in general. So it might be worth getting that one. I forget what it's called. I had them all memorized because I did a video on them, and then I kind of like, it left my brain, right? But the Volkmar and Helman Gorse DLC is absolutely skippable, unless you want to be, I like owning all the Pokemon, you know? So I like owning the various DLC, why can't I move? I like owning the various DLCs, I like owning the various pieces. So I would always, yeah, look, it's not essential, but if you want to complete it. Now, you bought the race packs, right? You own Chaos Dwarfs? Because that's the easiest recommendation in the world. So like, if you're a semi-experienced player and you really want a really fun campaign, Chaos Dwarf is definitely that. But I'm going to presume you already that. Do I want to have peace with these guys? I don't feel like I do, because I feel like I want to kind of come down south. Okay. Yeah, I need to make my Chaos Dwarf guy, don't I? I like, once again, editing videos takes a lot of time. I'm working on my Gelt video. I'm working on my Gelt guide on how to deal with Dakala, because it's actually, like, Gelt used to be really easy. Gelt used to be challenge-free. But now Dakala can actually present a bit of a challenge if you don't deal with it. And Sail is actually surprisingly tough, too. But I'm going to get to all of these videos over time. Obviously, next week is Christmas. Probably less of a schedule around Christmas. I am sorry to say, chat, that my family and my son is slightly more important than my viewers on YouTube. I know. I'm sorry to break that to you. Please forgive me. I hope we can, you know, still be friends. But jokes aside, though, at some point I will ramp up everything. and we will get moving on terms of like the various things. Yeah, I know. I'm spending time with my family. What a monster. What a monster. So you have okay. Do you own Clan Molder? So Twisted in the Twilight. You see, I remember a DLC name. That's good, right? Do you own Twisted in the Twilight? Let's actually fight some manual fights. Okay, you have all of... Honestly, like, this is the thing, right? You technically have a lot. Do you have any factions that you've tried out playing and you maybe, like, you want to, like, I like it and I want to expand? Because, like, the reality is, like, you don't have to buy... I know this is going to be, like, we're all Warhammer players on both the tabletop and, like, well, in my case, like, I own the miniatures and, like, also just on the video game side. So, we all have, like, impulsive buying, purchasing decisions, right? But, like, you don't have to buy a DLC. Like, my recommendation is, like, if you don't need anything right now, just save up, you know? Like, don't do it. Now, what you could do is you have plenty of time during the vacation. So if you want to try Chaos, get yourself Champions of Chaos. The Champions of Chaos DLC, if you don't already have it, because what it gives you is really good for pretty much any Chaos campaign you're going to play. You're going to play Khorne, you still want Champions of Chaos. You're going to play Nurgle, you want Champions of Chaos. You play, okay, you have that. Then just try them out. All of the, like, specific Chaos DLC, so, you know, you're like your Shadows of Change and your Changeling and your blah, blah, blah. They don't offer anything specifically that, like, you wouldn't do it. Yeah, if you want to play Khorne, yeah, you just Unga Bunga infantry. You want to ignore your demon units and focus on your infantry. So your human infantry are what your bread and butter. We are taking a lot of shots here. Your human infantry is what you really want to live for as Khorne, because your demonic infantry really doesn't do so much, honestly, in my opinion. And then the second issue with them is that they, you know, demons break. And you really don't want to have your units breaking all the time. So just focus on the human units. So if you have the DLC, right, you'll have a lot of human units and stuff. We are taking shots here. Can we not take shots, please? We're not going to catch these, right? Yeah. We might actually connect a little bit. It's a cannon. It's a cannon. We need to retreat and just accept that we're just going to get shot at with these. Like, just try it. Like, Khorne is one of those campaigns. Look, I'm not up to date on my Khorne. The Khorne used to be one of those campaigns that has like a very low floor, but has a really high ceiling. Obviously, and I know they changed him a bit, and also I still have Engineer's Knapsack on my guy here. So like, let me go chase those down now that my cavalry is here. Now we do. Oh, we got the dogs. That's good. We got you guys connecting in. So just try them out. Like. It sounds simplistic, right? But you don't need to like master a faction the first time you play it. Just have fun, figure them out for yourself, and then afterwards, like when you want to min-max, then that's when you come and watch my guide, which hopefully I'll have on the various lords right by then. So, but it's always good to like just try it out for you. It takes the joy out of something, right? If you've studied them like religiously before you even got started. So sometimes it's just worth it to just jump in, just try a faction out. Like, I have played every faction in this game. There are some factions that I hate and there are some factions that I really love, right? But like, I don't regret playing any faction. Even if one of those is like Greenskins. I don't enjoy Greenskins, right? But I don't regret playing Greenskins because they are unique, and that's good, right? They are unique, they play uniquely, they are fun. I think we've definitely shut off this cannon by now. But like, you're not... If you end up clicking something and you don't like them, then you know, you played a few hours, you played something new, and that's that. So just try Khorne, or like Nurgle is the most traditional out of the Chaos Lords available. Like zero base management, yeah. So let me break down the various Chaos factions for you. Like Nurgle is the one who actually is going to be building almost an empire. You're actually going to be doing, like, where's Kazrak? Let me actually send him. You're going to be building actual economy. You're going to be building actual growth. Where he's a bit freaky is in his unit recruitment. Now, Khorne, as Tarny pointed out, is very much the least, like, empire. You're not holding on to settlements. You don't really care about settlements. What you care about with Khorne is more the like unga bunga murder of it all. So you are literally just going to be running around the map, trying to fight as many people, trying to like line up battles, trying to get it through that way. Let's see, who am I missing? Slaanesh is micro intensive. So if you like Bretonnia, if you tried Bretonnia and like, that's my jam, you want to play Slaanesh. Slaanesh is the only one that made me regret not having Champions of Chaos when I was actually playing it, because Slaanesh requires that like hammer and anvil. So you want like your Chaos Warriors to hold while your demons and stuff come in from the rear. Very, very Slaanesh-y, right? You want to attack from the rear, you know, ram them in. But the issue is that is like if you don't own the DLC, which you do, they don't actually have a front line for you to hammer into. Everything they have is very, very soft and squishy. So it makes it for a really rough camp lane. And I ended up, as I mentioned in like my full like 100% in the game guide, right? I ended up just making Nakari into a one-man doom stack, and then just winning that way. And now that was just easier for me. And then finally, there is Tzeentch. Tzeentch is the only one where I'd actually maybe recommend getting the Shadows of Change DLC, because the Shadows of Change DLC for Tzeentch gives you an actual early game. Tzeentch doesn't have an actual front line. Like, they have blue horrors, but blue horrors are just like a missile infantry that just gets promoted to... Where is... There's a unit here that's... Aha. Blue horrors are just a crappy missile infantry that got promoted to frontline just because you need to. So, if you really want to play Tzeentch, there might actually be a case for getting Shadows of Change. You don't want Shadows of Change for the sake of the Changeling, because the Changeling is not a fun campaign, but you want it because it gives you a frontline infantry early in your Tzeentch campaign, which does matter. That's pretty much all of them. Obviously, as you can imagine from Tzeentch, Tzeentch is very unga bunga magic, very, you know, I'm gonna fuck with people. That's the playstyle you're going for. If that sounds like your jam, then go for it. You have a lot of abilities, so if you've played Esh and you have a lot of abilities, right, you can enjoy Tzeentch maybe. But yeah, you need to rely on the fact that you are squishy, your greater demon is squishy. Like, the other three greater demons are one-man doom stacks. Kugaf doesn't look like it, but Kugaf can solo an army. Skarbrand can obviously very much solo an army, and Nakari can solo an army. Tzeentch, change it, Kairos, can solo armies, right? But you are going to have to do it in a magical, micro-heavy way, not in a unga-bunga murder kind of way. So those are, like, the things you need to keep in mind. Let's go. Necrotic. There, that's an actual item I actually want to be running on my boy. We need a... I don't want 5%, 15%, 15 armor, and I lose 5% speed. You know what? Change of plan. We're keeping the engineer's knapsack on him. I think that's worth it. Strange that I'm keeping that on him, but I guess I don't have better gear right now. So we have my first province. Where do we want to go? So this obviously looks like a Nurgle faction. No, there are other mods that do that, but no, this just makes the map mega huge. It adds unique factions. I think there is interplay between other mods. I think there are other mods that add like custom legendary lords, which I think work with this and stuff like that. But I'm not well versed in all of those. I don't actually like changing gameplay too much. I like changing, so like quality of life mods. So your recruit defeated legendary lords and your stuff like that. And like some like aesthetic mods and some like reloading, like some mods like that. But I don't enjoy overhaul mods. As I think I've mentioned before, I've tried SFO and I don't enjoy SFO. I think it changes too many things just for the sake of like changing things, and it's not great for that reason. It's a personal choice. Some people swear by SFO. SFO is like SFO is like, it's something that either people love and will defend to death, or they hate it, and they will vehemently hate it. I'm a little bit more neutral than I think most, but like if you mention SFO into a crowd of Warhammer players, Total War Warhammer 3 players, you're gonna get very, very mixed opinions, and you just kind of have to accept that. Like, some people love it, some people hate it. I think some of the things they do is pretty smart. So I like what they do with Skaven, where like they make the Skaven so every unit of Skaven, like Skaven Slave, is like 200 models. It's like that's very thematic and cool. But I also hate that for no particular reason he completely makes play call catapults useless. He changes the firing arc of them and it makes them completely useless. And I hate it. And there are some changes like, okay, that's cool. And there are some changes that are just very unnecessary. And I just feel like he's trying to be like, I am different from base game. And because I'm different from base game, I have to do my own unique twist unnecessarily on things. So make of that what you will. But I don't enjoy complete overhaul mods or anything like that. So I'm not the best person to ask. Once again, the issue with like any mods that change gameplay is that obviously there is a balance question to it all, right? Now, if you're the kind of guy, and maybe you are, maybe you're not, who like likes to just like find like, you know, there's like overpowered Skaven stuff. The mod that just add like a bunch of unique Skaven items. I'm really not sure how this all works. I don't think I can do it right. I need to win fights or something that just I like add like really broken like Chaos Dwarf stuff or Skaven stuff, and you just want to be really overpowered, then go for it, have fun. But I don't enjoy those because like you get bored being completely overpowered. It's why I don't actually like Warriors of Chaos. No, the thing with Skaven, right, is that Skaven. Okay, but let me tone myself down. If you are running something like a Jezzail Doomstack because you want to decimate the field, you are completely overpowered. But Skaven have that range, right? You can run Skaven. Most Skaven armies have weak points, exploitable weak points. So if you're running like anything that isn't just like a one-man weapon Doomstack, or maybe even like a Molder monster Doomstack where you're running a bunch of brood horrors and you just massacre something. Like, as long as you're running something that's relatively balanced army-wise, Skaven have very exploitable weak spots, which do mean that there's some back and forth, there's some variety to it. The issue is when you get to like, they have like, you know, I saw a mod once that adds like Skaven steam tanks, Skaven thunder barges, and it's like, okay, then there's no counterplay to that, because like the big Skaven weakness is obviously how they deal with flyers. Skaven have no natural flyers. They have spells and stuff that, you know, help you with flyers, but you kind of like Empire actually. Though Empire technically has captains, right? But like Empire doesn't have fly either. Yeah, you need a. Well, just gift them the like. If you think they might play it, then maybe gift them the game. It's like just get them whichever one you think they'll click with. You know, Warhammer 1's probably not that much money. I can't check how much money it is because like it's different. Like prices are really cheap in Japan. And ironically, the game on sale in Japan is cheaper than like CD keys. I love it. I can buy the game on Steam, legit, no problems. But it's still cheaper than CD keys. So it makes it very easy to like complete my collection here. But maybe just buy them Warhammer 1. If they're not going to play it at all and you don't think they'll ever touch it, then maybe it's a waste of money. But like, you know, getting someone the taster so that they feed into the addiction is a long-term investment. You know, you need to be like the drug dealer, right? You need to be like, think about it from a drug dealer perspective. It's like you give the first hit. Hey, sorry. I don't like. I'm happy for you to like. I appreciate the compliments, right? But just don't promote your Discord in my Twitch chat, please. That's blocked. So yeah, don't do that, please. Look. Sorry if you're just trying to promote it casually. I appreciate. No, hey, look. I can't talk shit about Apex Legends. My wife loves Apex Legends, so I will not say anything negative about Apex Legends. I never mastered it very well. What I'm saying is like maybe buy them the first hit and then hope that they get addicted. Now, if they have an FPS player's like patience, you might be waiting a while. It might not be very effective. But the other thing you can do is you just buy it for yourself on a spare account, and then that way you can if it doesn't click with one friend, you don't have to buy the game 600 times, right? You can just have your other friend try it out on that other account, and at least it saves you a little bit of cash, right? Having a spare account to play is not necessarily a bad thing. At some point, I'm gonna be buying, so I don't want to get this, right? I want to keep my points up for like other lords, right? Because at some point I'm gonna need to buy another account, and then I'm gonna shove another copy of Warhammer free on that account so that one day I play with my son. Now, we're a few years away. He is only 11 months old. I don't need to be thinking about, I need to buy all the DLC for him quite yet. But what I'm saying is like, buy yourself a spare account. And then that way, if one friend doesn't click with it, you can just pass it off to another friend and try it out that way. And at least you're not like completely sinking your time. That's the best way to do it. And once again, and then the other thing is like, if you ever want to do like a custom battle and you want to test out something very specific, having a spare copy of the game so that you can like actually control what the enemy's doing. Because I was trying to do a test yesterday for a YouTube video. You need to like, so like I couldn't get the AI to do what I wanted. I needed them to get on the wall so I could test some weapon ranges, but the AI was refusing to get up on the wall so I could see their tower range. And it's just like, you know, maybe a second account is good in that specific situation. But yeah, I'm making another account, so like another account. You'll be obviously part of the family library. So right now it's not a big deal because Steam does, but when there are free games sometimes it's like, maybe I should make an account and start collecting those free games on Steam. Now free games on Steam are not that common as like free games on Epic Games, right? But there's still some free games on Steam once in a while. So it's like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do. But yeah, he'll be part of the family account. So technically I can just add accounts to his mom's account on Steam and then he'll be able to access it, right? But right now, I don't need to get a more Warhammer right now, but if for you, it's worth it. Now, my motivation that I did for my friend is I had a friend who I knew would love the game, but he was never going to play it. He was never going to try it out. So what I did is I told him straight to his face, if you can beat, it was midsummer. It was like, if you can beat me before Christmas on a campaign, I will give you $200. He never got that $200, but you know what he did do? He did start playing the game a lot more afterwards. Now, you don't want to never curb stomp too much when they're just learning. You know, you get in that bad habit where you beat them up and it's like, oh, well, I'm teaching you, and like, try to moderate yourself. You know, don't, you know, if you beat someone too badly, they will never want to play again because it doesn't feel good to lose. That's what Fortnite does really well, you know? In your first like match or two, if you've never played Fortnite, let me teach you something. In your first match or two of Fortnite, you are pretty much gonna win. If you have any experience with a shooter game, you're gonna win. And the reason they do that is because you are fighting against bots. You fight against bots in the first few matches, so that way you have an easy victory, and that way you have a very positive experience with the game. So that's a trick for you. I was like, don't beat them up too badly, because then they will never play with you again, and you actually kind of want them to play, right? But motivate them once with a bet that you're probably not going to have to pay up, right? Because like I was never going to end up paying up that bet because I knew that like no matter what I probably wasn't going to lose. And if he got good look, and it was a win-win for me. Maybe $200 is a bit much for most people, right? But like it was a win-win for me because it was like, okay, if he does get good enough to beat me, then he's definitely played a lot of the game. And if he doesn't get good enough to beat me, then I don't have to pay up. So I was looking for someone to play with, and that was a big win. Now, a bit of warning. When you play multiplayer with this game, you need to make sure that the person, if you're doing like a long campaign, so there's two ways to play the game. You either do like two people that start next to each other. So like Carl versus Vlad, or Elspeth versus Vlad. You're starting really close to each other and it's a bit of a matchup. Honestly, Carl versus Vlad is more balanced. I think Elspeth would destroy Vlad because she's kind of like custom built for it. But you know, Carl versus Vlad von Karstein. Like it will be a very short campaign because you're kind of near each other. But what you want to be careful about is campaigns in this game obviously take a long while, and they especially take a long while in multiplayer, right? So you don't want to end up, I find it really unsatisfying when I start a campaign and then for whatever reason, I don't end up finishing it. You know, someone gets busy or life gets in the way or anything like that. There's a variety of reasons, you know, not all of them are shitty, right? But it's not very satisfying if you've like played free weekends into a campaign because, you know, you've played every Sunday and then someone has to bail. It doesn't feel good. So my recommendation is play a custom battle with someone, run like a trash stack. So run like everybody's playing with like a ton of zombies or like high entity units like Nurglings. Like, you know, because Nurglings, like if you look at them, there's a lot going on animation-wise. This, like, they're a very impressive unit that nobody pays attention to because, like, they're not exciting, right? They're not a very exciting unit. But, like, make sure that his computer runs the game well. Make sure that your connection between each other is pretty good. Now, I'm going to assume you're in the same country, so that shouldn't be too bad. And then finally, then make sure that, like, start slow because you don't want to, you don't want to get emotionally invested in a campaign that you might not finish, because that sucks. Ask me how I know. So just be careful. That's just some advice from someone who's done a lot of campaign. Like, multiplayer campaigns are one of the best ways to play this game, and it's why I'm looking forward to play with my son one day. Because, like, this game has the obvious issue that if you have any idea what you're doing, you will destroy the AI in this game. The AI does not represent a challenge for you if you have half an idea of what you're doing. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do about that because, you know, most of the time you are playing against the AI. So playing with people is more better, but also more risky. I think that's the word I'm going to pick for it. It's like, there are problems. So just make sure you minimize those problems, right? How are we doing? We're going to kill the Stontling wagons, right? We need to avoid the spears. I think we're going to go and harass the artillery. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, I've made a Steam account for him, and, like, I'm collecting free stuff. And then, like, some games will just add on to it. I'm not doing that, like, oh, I'm going to buy games now because, like, I'll play them with him in 10 years. That's done. Because obviously on Steam, a lot of games end up getting cheaper. But once again, when there are, like, free games on Steam, which happens sometimes, doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to just pile that into an account for him, and then one day you can play it. And once again, a lot of games are much, much cheaper in Japan too, as I've mentioned, so there's a bunch of positives. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, another thing that I did is I have all of Pokemon for him on a hard drive. Let's not ask how I acquired this collection. But in my defense, like, I have, when I was a kid, I owned a lot of it when I was a kid, so my rules around, like, questionable acquisitions, let's call it, is if I owned it physically once in my life, I don't mind reacquiring it rather than, like, taking it and, like, trying to ship a bunch of DVDs over from France. Because shipping a bunch of DVDs over from France is gonna cost me more than those DVDs are worth. Okay, that's fine. I own the physical copy. They can't prove that I didn't rip it from my own files. Now, Nintendo doesn't like that when you rip it for your own copies, but it's not illegal. Yeah, but, like, I have all of Pokemon on a hard drive for him because, like, I wanted to experience, you know, things and, like, Pokemon and all those things, right? But, like, I would rather avoid, like, endless subscriptions for no reason. Like, for obvious reasons. Like, I don't even think you can, I haven't looked into it recently because I heard somewhere that, like, you can't even buy all of Pokemon everywhere because it's, like, split up in so many different places, and just the acquisition of it is so, I think they're gonna get beat up. Like, the acquisition of, like, all of Pokemon is just so difficult these days that, like, legitimately, like, even if you wanted to own all of it, it's actually rather difficult. Who knows? But when it's the same with books, is that if I own a physical copy of a book, because, you know, books are pretty big, right? Especially big books. So you run into that issue where, like, shipping books, if you're not called Amazon, and even if you're called Amazon, is rather expensive. So I'm not going to ship myself books when I can just, like, acquire them. So that's my policy. But yeah. Yeah. Let me see. We're winning that. That's good. Now, how are we doing on the Pestigores? Not well. Yeah, let me send these guys in. Now, the issue is these are spears, right? I don't really want to send those in. And I can't send my front line in because they're still chewing things up over there. I think we're gonna have to accept that. If we lose the Pestigores, we lose the Pestigores, then I'll accept it. Yeah, I'm not getting the, if the game is almost unplayable, I just get it in some other way. Why is it unplayable? Oh, you can't buy it anywhere? Yeah, like, that's another very legitimate reason. Is like, if you can't physically get the game, then, like, it's not like you're costing the company any money, right? If they don't want to sell a game. So, because I'm in Japan, right? I own a physical copy of all of the Nintendo games. Because, you know, they're dirt cheap here. That's like all of the, like, Pokemon games, and you can buy a 3DS, and I can do all of that, right? Everything's dirt cheap here for Nintendo stuff, but, like, if I physically couldn't buy it, or like because I was in Western Europe and like I physically couldn't get it very easily, I was absolutely going to like add several copies of Pokemon Platinum and like play them with my son, because you can play multiplayer Pokemon on an emulator these days, and like that was pretty cool. But yeah, he's absolutely going to be playing Pokemon. He doesn't have a choice on that, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, there's like I am very much gonna like, and maybe I am getting old, but like I'm very much of the mindset that like a lot of modern games are not so good. So games like I have played Fortnite and I enjoyed Fortnite. I'm not going to say it's a bad game, but the issue with Fortnite is like the battle pass, like the incentivizing people to play obsessively every day to like unlock rewards is not great, especially because like most of your rewards reset in Fortnite, right? Like every time you play Fortnite, you start the game and you end the game in the same spot, and then you don't get anything out of the experience. Where something like Pokemon, like you can put 1,000 hours into Pokemon and you have something to show for it. And I like that. I think those are better experiences, especially for kids. So, you know, your Minecrafts and your Pokemon of the world, I would rather he's playing that. And especially because those are like very sociable games, you know? Hopefully he'll play with his siblings, he'll play with me, because I will be running like a little Minecraft server. I have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, you know? Like before that would have been nothing, but now it's like, did I click this? Did I click that skill? Because I feel like that doesn't unlock naturally. But at the same time, I don't feel like I clicked it. I don't know. But yeah, so what was I saying? So, I want him to have experiences where he can be social. So I would rather he play multiplayable games. And then, as I said, I have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, which once again, considering current RAM prices, I'm holding on to my retirement fund right there. But the advantage is that I will be able to run like a small little like server. And also probably like a little NAS where I'm gonna like store all the family photos instead of paying for iCloud. I don't like subscription models for things that I can just run on my own. So like cloud storage has advantages, right? Because like technically having my backup storage inside my same house does have issues in case of fire, blah, blah, blah. Let's not act like there's 100% zero negatives to having it on Amazon, right? But at this on iCloud, right? But at the same time, as long as if you're not, look, iCloud does this neat little trick, right? Where they get you to buy the tier 1 iCloud, and it's like $1. And that actually makes sense. It's really useful. Like buying the $1 iCloud makes sense, and that's what they're counting on. It is actually a good deal. When you start getting to the $8 a month to get like 200 gigabytes or whatever it is, like 2 tera, like that's when it starts becoming a way worse deal. Don't do it. But they're counting on like you have so much of your life already on iCloud that you're like, you know, you upgrade because you realize you run out of space and then you upgrade. That's the whole model, obviously. So when you get to those levels, like just buying a hard drive and just storing things on the hard drive starts making more sense. Now, with storage prices going as they are, who knows what makes the most sense, right? But at the same time, I suspect that like, you know, cloud storage servers will have to upgrade their prices at some point too, because like otherwise, you know, they're the ones losing money, and you better believe that Apple's never going to intentionally lose money beyond a certain point. Like that's not their model, and it shouldn't be their model. Like they shouldn't have to do it. But at some point, things are going to get more expensive. I think that is the, you know, something that I was thinking about. I'm not entirely sure I came up with this idea on my own, but I was definitely thinking about it. I heard it, and I was like, that makes sense. In a lot of sci-fi movies, right? You know, your Star Wars and your blah blah blah. When people have robots, they own the robots. So, you know, like your R2-D2. Luke buys R2-D2, and Anakin makes C-3PO, blah, blah, blah. Like, they actually own the AI. And let's not kid ourselves. I know that a lot of, like, company branding... Is that the mask? Am I starting next to the mask? I am starting next to the mask. Okay, that is interesting. But I know that a lot of, like, AI branding and marketing makes you think that like, you know, AI machines are not like just probability calculators, but like are like C3PO and R2D2. It's not. It is it's a like an overstated probability machine. But the point that I'm getting to though is that we are not going to be owning these technologies. Like, it is becoming, even PC gaming at the moment is getting horrifically expensive. And like, that sucks. Like, that's not good for anyone, and it's really kind of concerning. And I'm really kind of concerned about that, is like how expensive it is going to be for PC gaming in the future, because like RAM prices are horrific right at the moment. GPU prices, let's not talk about it. Storage prices are going to get higher. So I am concerned that like, well, I have these hopes of being able to show PC gaming to my son. It's like, at what cost, you know? Because if it becomes too expensive to own your own computer, then cloud gaming starts becoming a thing. But if everybody starts owning cloud gaming, then PC gaming will be more and more dead, right? So then you'll end up in a situation where like the only way to play games is to own a cloud service, and then they can charge whatever amount of money they want because there's no physical PC competition. Because right now, cloud services have to compete with the fact that you can own a console, you can own a PC, and it makes sense. But in the future, that might not always be the case. And that's actually, for me, that's a really concerning future. I really don't like that. Yeah, no, I don't think that's good. I don't think it's good to Blessed's taking on a I would assume the one with the better stats. I'm gonna be honest, Lizardmen are not my specialty. Like, when I play Lizardmen, I just click big dinosaur, and like, the AI doesn't deal with big dinosaur very well, because the way you deal with big dinosaurs, you shoot it. But the AI doesn't tend to like, a lot of where Lizardmen start, there's not a lot of shooty faction. So like, you're pretty safe. Just pick whichever big dinosaur looks cool to you. But like, no, I don't think that cloud streaming is the future in a way that is good. Like, I agree with you that it will be the future for a lot of people. I agree with you that more and more people will do it because they don't have a choice. But I don't think that is a good future, unfortunately. I think it's actually a really concerning future. And I'm actually really like, I don't like it. I accept that it's probably gonna happen. But you better believe that I'm gonna try very damn hard to make sure that my kids own a PC. Might not be the most exciting PC, but at the same time, Minecraft, by the time my kids get old, like old enough to play games, Minecraft is already a very old game, and it's going to be a very older game by then, right? So it's not the end of the world. And then on top of that, like, I want to make sure that like things are not like, you know, I own things. I like ownership of things. It is better. I prefer owning things, and like I'm very stubborn about that. I like two things in life. I like, when I need to buy something, I like to own the best of that is. So if I would rather save up and just buy whatever the one that I don't need to upgrade in the future then, and then instead of like buying something temporary and then upgrading it later. I don't like that. It annoys me. And then the second thing is like, I want to own things. I don't like rental. Like, better it'd be like rental property, if you can avoid it, or like outright like rental of things. It's not good. It opens you up to an endless cycle of paying for things, where at some point, if you can own it or you can work towards owning something, it's better. And obviously it's not easy, it's not perfect, right? Yeah, look, the reality is, I think we as like PC games have the advantage that you are able to play older games. You don't have to be chasing the latest stuff. You know, with consoles, you're kind of locked into just buying whatever games are available on the latest console, and your console would break. But like with PC gamings, like PC games, you can just start playing plenty of very good older games that will run just fine, even if you don't have the bestest hardware. And I think we're gonna have to get used to that. I think phones are gonna, like, they're already talking like phone RAM next year is gonna be smaller. Like, they are gonna have to optimize things. But the reality is, like, we hope they have to optimize things. But ever thought about the fact that like, I want to do that actually. Games are not like games are not optimized, right? Like, GPUs have been expensive for ages, and games are still not optimized. They just kind of ignore it. Like, I wouldn't hope on optimization. I hope you would think so, but I'm not convinced they will optimize, because a lot of companies are not made with the same talent. A lot of the good developers, like, hey, hello Malachi. So we have Malachi and the Mask near us. I like that. I like that this starting location. Malachi is going to be rough because we don't actually have a lot of issues. We don't have a lot of anti-air, right? Yeah, I don't like it, especially like the trick will be the big deciding factor for AI and like whether or not it is a bubble is like right now AI companies lose a horrific amount of money. They are losing unspeakably large amounts of money, which they all think is worth it because, okay, if we just keep losing money, but we are the ones who win the AI race, blah, 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 it will be worth it. That's the whole thought process. That's why they're losing billions of dollars, right? But the question will be, when they need to start making money, because at some point the tap is going to close, right? They're gonna not make as much money as they used to. How expensive does AI become? Because if you've ever like done a basic sales and class in sales, you know that like you can only raise the prices so much before you start losing money, right? Basics in sale 101, because like if you raise the price too much, there are less people who buy it, so you actually end up making less money. So the question is more war declared? Okay, I physically couldn't give less of a damn. The question then becomes like, what do you like? How much do you charge for it, right? Like, how much do you charge for, like, video? Because, like, people are pumping out these terrible, shitty videos of, like, really dumb stuff. Oh, look at these, like, AI beds. Like, I saw that on Twitter yesterday. It was like, oh my god, people are pumping these really... These are only being made because, like, the company that's... Like, the AI company is losing money for you to be able to make it for relatively cheap. But... at some point, they will stop making it so cheap and they will make it more expensive. So like a lot of this like slop you see, AI slop, will actually stop being made so often. Like I suspect that the most people who will be making like AI video and like AI like photo generation, all that stuff will mostly be like big companies and especially governments for various reasons, you know, both good and obviously less good. Those will be the much more likely like users of like AI video will be like state actors, because you know $1 million is not like, when it's not your money, governments are very happy to spend all of it, right? So that will be the trick, right? It's like, well, that won't be enough to like, I don't think like few state actors is going to be enough to like support the amount of spending that goes into AI at the moment. I hope so, at least. I mean, if it is, then we're never getting cheap RAM, we're never getting cheap GPUs again. So I hope it isn't, but it's kind of hard to be hopeful about the state of technology. And yeah, look, if content farms, if they're able to make it for cheap enough that it's worth it, especially for scams. So like, you know, impersonating celebrities and impersonating YouTubers and all of that stuff, there will be money to be made. As long as there's money to be made, it won't be good for us. You know, people like not really using that technology and just kind of hoping to just do. I think I do want to use that because I'm around a lot of chaos factions right now. Do I actually want to care about military right now? I've never looked at the... No, I think I want to do... I always like to do my economy, like always prioritize it then. Like, it's a concern. That is, look, a lot of people are concerned about like, oh, it will take the jobs. And it's like, for some small like HR stuff, I agree. I don't think like, I saw a video recently, I forget who it was, I think it was like Linus Tech Tips, who was like, AI is like actually threatening to YouTube jobs. And I'm like, I'm not really convinced about that, because like making long-term video content that will look good is going to cost a horrific amount of money. And if they don't see that return, then it like, you know, like a YouTube channel, you like what I'm doing right now, I'm not making any money right now. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm mostly just doing this because I'm playing games, and then like I'm playing games, and then, you know, if I'm playing games, I might as well stream me playing the game, right? But if you are an AI startup who wants to make an AI YouTuber, that costs money, and then you're going to be bleeding money for a certain amount of time. And if you don't have like the personality or the talent behind it, maybe it never becomes anything. But like, you have to start making serious money for it to make serious sense in the long term. That's the basic question, is like, can these companies, once AI companies start turning off the tap of like free accessible AI, make enough money to sustain the cost or not? If they can, it's never going back down. If they can't, at some point prices will go back down and we will be able to buy all of these technologies, I hope. Otherwise, you have to break into someone's house and like steal their RAM. The good news is, like, if you know, you're a uni, right? Neov, what you can do is, if you know a gamer friend, like, just like take the RAM out of their computer, take a stick. They won't notice it until it's way too late. There you go. Once again, retirement fund covered. Like, go around the computers in the school and take RAM sticks out of it. Your school's never gonna notice. Like, just a screwdriver. I am not encouraging actual crime, but like, yeah, you can check the uni PCs. Yeah, just empty them out. Oh wow, okay, change of plan. It was a joke before. No, now it's a serious plan. Go rob your school. Secure your retirement. Have you seen the prices of those things? Like, unironically, they should put armed guards around them. That is a lot of RAM to just like casually be leaving around right now. Let me charge in, but not too much. Let's not charge in with like random things. But yeah, like, yeah, okay, fine. You see, you nerds and your nerd computers, goddamn nerds. See, unlike me, an elite alpha playing Warhammer. True, big brain stuff. Yeah, once again, just look. If Americans can get away with uni shootings, you can get away with breaking into your uni and stealing their RAM. But yeah, they really do. I've been thinking about getting Nurgle on the tabletop. So last year for Christmas, so a year ago, they ran a Nurgle Christmas box. So what, if you're not familiar, the actual tabletop runs, and I think you know, Tarny, but I'm explaining for everyone else. Like, the tabletop does these like value box. They do these value box where you get a bunch of models as part of a big box and you save on the cost, because Warhammer miniatures individually can be quite pricey, so they tone it down by giving you these value boxes. So the Nurgle Christmas boxes are quite a lot of pretty cool Nurgle units, including some that's not actually in the game yet. They're definitely going to add them. This game is definitely going to add Putrid Blight Kings at some point. If you don't know what that looks like, those are pretty cool looking. So I'm kind of like, oh, he just blew up his own Squig Herd, which is probably not the most important unit to blow up, but it's kind of funny. Like, I am kind of thinking about it, but once again, I have a huge shelf of miniatures, so it's like, is there a lot of point? No, but it's a pretty nice value box, and like, that's the same thing that I was telling Neov about the DLC, right? Is like, just because you can buy doesn't mean you should, but we're all Warhammer players, so we all have that like, oh, but it's on sale, I should buy it. I have that just as much as anyone else. Like, at the moment I see a nice sale of things, it's like, unnecessary purchase. Yeah, so once again, so just take out 32 gigs. They won't notice it. They won't notice 32 gigabytes is missing. And you will definitely notice 32 gigabytes. So yeah, it's worth it. There's a conversation to be had. You know, how much do you hold up to your moral? How much, are your morals worth? Are they worth losing out on big dollars? Because it's all nice and good to have morals when it doesn't cost you anything. It's when you have an opportunity that your morals are tested, right? Yeah, but yeah, I once again, now that I'm like doing video editing and I'm doing like streaming, I was like, maybe I should get a bit more RAM. But now it's like, nope, guess not. I'm waiting. Like, I will make 32 gigabytes work, and realistically it works. It's just, I was like, oh, maybe I could use a bit more. And now it's like, no, we're waiting. We're waiting a while. Let me take Kazrak and let me charge this guy, and then let me charge these archers. How I paid for my uni was poker. I'm a decent. I'm not gonna say I'm a god. I'm a god amongst men, but I'm a decent poker player, and especially against students, because as I'm sure you know, both of you, the UK does this dumb thing where like they give students a lot of money, like to go to university. They give you like spending money, right? So what they do is instead of giving it like as a weekly amount, I'm sure you, I'm not explaining anything new, but I'm explaining it for the audience, right? They give it to you as like a block sum in the first month. Like it's just a lump sum of cash for the first month. Now they're pretty smart because like I think the later months they give it to you in free months, but they still in that first month they give you a lump sum of cash, and like a bunch of kids who've never had money in their life suddenly get given. Oh, I think I lost a plague toad. That's not great. But a bunch of kids who've never had money in their life, like more than like a few bucks in their bank account, suddenly get given a ton of cash, and they lose it all in the dumbest ways imaginable. So if you are halfway decent at poker, my life advice is they're gonna lose that money anyway. So you might as well be the one who collects it. You can make so much money from students playing like just poker, like college poker. Every week I would pay for my food, my groceries, because so there was always as I was saying, there's always a few students who like have a bunch of money in the first month and they burn through it. So that's you can make an incredible amount of money, but afterwards there are those who like to gamble. That exists, and whether or not you want to take advantage of that is up to you. Like I didn't mind so much because it wasn't a huge amount of money, right? And I made sure that none of them were like deeply in the hole. But there's also a large amount of students, especially from like Middle Eastern kids or like Chinese kids or Asian, like China, it's illegal to gamble in China, but China has a very big gambling culture. All in Asia, there are places where like gambling is legal, and you'll have a ton of Chinese tourism to those places. So what happens is like a lot of these, their parents are like, oh, son, we need you to learn how to gamble. It's a good experience for you. So they'll start financing their son's lose streak in the hope that he actually learns how to gamble properly. And that's when you make a lot of money. Because, you know, a lot of these kids, not necessarily poor, to put it mildly. So like $20 here, $30 there. It's chump change, but hey, it's your grocery money for the week. Which when you're at uni, it doesn't hurt. Then the other thing that I did at uni is I bought and sold Magic the Gathering cards. So here's a little tip for you, and I can tell you because like I physically can't do it very easily in Japan. So here's a life advice: if you buy, like, you go on Facebook Marketplace and you look around and you see like bulk boxes of cards. You know, your kid left to uni, so now you have all of his cards in his room and you're getting rid of them because you're a shitty parent, or like you are selling out of the hobby or blah blah blah. You can buy very large amounts of cards in cheap, because so then what you do is you go for the box. You separate all the valuable ones, because there are cards that are worth like 30, 40, 50, 60, $500 even. You separate all of those cards off to the side. Then you take the box. And you sell it off to the next person. You don't lie. You don't tell them, oh, there's money in the box. You don't say anything like that. But you try to sell it off to another person who's trying to buy bulk to resell. I have a whole video where I explain it in full. It's like one of my earliest videos before I specialized down into like Warhammer Total War Warhammers. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in the sale and the acquisition and the buying and selling of Magic the Gathering cards. There's a lot. If you know the prices and you know what to look out for and you know those things, it is very easy money that you can do very cheaply. There's always a few mistakes you can do. For example, if you run business PayPal, if you do PayPal business, you always want to make sure that you run secured post. So like the signed for post and stuff like that. There's all these tips like you could learn, because like the first time I did an order, I didn't quite do it. I didn't quite do it properly, and I got scammed. Good lesson there to learn. But luckily I didn't stop. But like I was making like $10,000 a year from like a little part-time gig at uni. It's like, it's not, you know, it's not like retirement money, but when you're a uni student doing it on the side and you're just doing it in your spare time, because like you can sort through cards while listening to a lecture, you can sort through cards while listening to a podcast. You don't have to be like fully engaged on it. You just pull a card, you check its price, you put it into one of 3 categories. Like my usual breakdown was like under £1, then I would have the like 1 to 2 pounds, which I would keep in a separate box, but I wouldn't take photos of. And then the above 2 pounds, which were worth taking photos of and like sending it to people. And like, then you have your customer base. And then when you have new stuff, you send them your updated stock and you just go from there. And you can make a lot of money doing that. Once again, I had a whole video explaining it, but So I'm not gonna like go into it all because most people here to watch Warhammer, right? But like, there's a lot of opportunities there. So if you just choose the right one and you capitalize on it, there's a lot of like ways to make money that are not immediately obvious, because like sometimes like, you know, you don't make enough money for it to be worth it to do it full time. There probably is with Magic the Gathering, but maybe like in the US, because I don't think this, you know, the UK is not the biggest country in the world. And I don't think it's maybe the biggest amount of like free, like, you know, disposable income these days, maybe. But like, it was funny because once I was offered, hey, can I trade some Magic the Gathering cards for Warhammer? And I declined. So like, oh, I don't know much about Warhammer. So I was like, I don't know what the value is. I don't know if there's resellableness. And it's kind of funny that like, I didn't like that I ended up getting into Warhammer later separately. That's the really thing, because I remember like when you live in the UK, you know, you see Warhammer stores. There was Warhammer stores at my uni town. There was Warhammer stores in Shrewsbury where I used to live, and there's Warhammer stores in London. Or Dark Sphere in London is a very nice place to play Magic the Gathering. It also has a huge Warhammer section. So you see it all the time. And it just like, I never thought about it that much because I was like, okay, it's a very expensive hobby. I'm already playing one very expensive hobby, Magic the Gathering. I'm not going to start another very expensive hobby. Thank you very much. Like at some point I will end up being on the streets. I'll be on the streets surrounded by my cardboard and my plastic. But yeah, those are good memories. I had a good time. Let me recruit the regiments of renown just to keep my momentum going. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities out there in the world. If you get started, you don't need that much to start. But then like, so I left the UK, and at first I had a uni friend that I was like, hey, you want to make some cash? And I knew he wanted to make some cash. I was like, I thought we had an opportunity here. But the issue is like when you run something like I don't think I'm nurgling correctly. I don't have a lot of infections. How do I get more? One of these buildings is going to give me infections. There we go. So I'm not building up infections. You see, I'm not used to playing Nurgle. So like, one of these like things that I did is like, I found a uni friend. I was like, hey, I'm happy to pay you 30% of the profit with me, which is pretty good for someone who's like mostly receiving packages and then posting packages. Like I'm doing the sales and the like sourcing and the blah, 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 blah. But what happened is, and he's going to live up to, you know, well, you know, I'm sure everybody here knows the stereotypes of the Spanish. Lazy, not hardworking, a lot of siestas, a lot of eating, blah, blah, blah. All of them are true. 100% all of them are true. The guy would text me at 2 and he's like, hey, Max, I'm starting to work. And it's like, okay, good. I start checking at 5 and it's like, oh, how are things going? No work has been done. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I fell asleep. I'll start working now. And then, okay, I text him at 7. And it's like, oh, sorry, I was making food. I'll start working now. And I text him at 11. It's like, oh, sorry, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. So at some point, I was actually spending more time micromanaging him than he actually did any work. And then at the end of the month, the first month, he was like, oh, how much money did I make this month? And I was like, $100. We'd only made like $300-ish, like profit. And I was like, and he was like, oh, but it's not so much money. I put in a lot of work. And I was like, no, you didn't. That's the problem. We didn't make any money because you didn't work. So that's the issue with like paid on profit. Is like if people don't have hands-on on the profit, you know, it becomes hard to motivate people. That's just sales advice. Like once again, I've done a lot of things in my life. I used to fight professionally, then COVID stopped that because like, you know, not a lot of martial arts happening when you're trying to socially distance. I'm sure like someone tried it, right? But yeah, it doesn't really work real good. Then there was I tried to be like, I was a PT, and like PT, you can do PT during COVID, but I also I was a fight coach, and like people will convince you that they can teach you how to fight online. Never trust someone who tells you that they can teach you how to fight like on a remote class. You can't learn how to fight on a remote class. You need to actually like go do it. So it doesn't work. A lot of people were scamming it, but it didn't sit right with me. I'm not going to claim that I was above doing it. Like if I needed the money, I would have done it. But like if I had to, but I wasn't quite that bad of a situation. So I didn't want to, and I'm glad I didn't do it because I don't. When you're a martial arts teacher, a lot of martial arts teachers are not actually very good. They're just kind of like the reputation of like a kung fu movie, and they just kind of teach you the basics of like throwing a punch, and then they, it's just a belt farm. A belt farm is like if you're in the martial arts community, it's just a club you join to. They're not really teaching you anything. But if you stay there 3 months, you'll get your next belt, and if you stay there another 3 months, you'll get a belt, and they just keep giving you belts regularly to like keep you interested in going. And it's not, you don't actually learn anything useful. And then there are some good fighting gyms where it's like it's an ex-fighter and like blah blah blah, and then you really get like proper you actually learn something useful. It's the same in Thailand. In like Thailand, 80% of Muay Thai gyms that are run by a Westerner is unironically just a guy using the like status to fuck tourist women. And it's from what I gather, it's pretty effective. If you're interested in like, you're a white guy and you don't want to fuck, local, you want to fuck the tourists, become a Muay Thai teacher. You have a lot of excuse to get very physical, like teach people, blah, blah, blah. And then you can seem physically impressive. Supposedly it's very effective. But yeah, you're not learning anything. That's more of a tourist trap than anything else. It's run by foreigners, or it can also be run by Thai people. There's a lot of Thai people like, join my Muay Thai boot camp. So you sign up for like 3 months and you pay like $6,000, and then you're not learning that much the whole time. But also you can get Muay Thai visas. So that's another trick, is like, people can stay long-term in Thailand on an educational visa. So if you and your buddies are like looking to stay in Thailand long-term, you can like do a Thai language class, or you can do a Muay Thai camp, and then you can stay in Thailand long-term, so you can live pretty cheaply in Thailand. You don't have to do like a visa bounce. So there's reasons to do it. But you know what? Let's focus back on the topic at hand. So we have Malachi. Should we fight Malachi? Because I get the feeling like if I don't fight Malachi soon, Malachi is gonna hurt. I know the AI is not gonna quite doomstack thunder barges, but like, I feel like I kind of need to address Malachi, because the issue is I'm kind of wandering down in this direction, right? Can I actually? Nah, I don't think I can. Okay, so I have to go down here. Honestly, I don't think this is a good. Okay, no, you can squeeze through the mountain here. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. I am at war with these people, so I should probably finish this war. But if I finish that war, I'm very far away from. Maybe I can peace him out. Yeah. Let's see. Can I peace out my current enemy? Rata of the Dawn is a negative 300 hates me. And even with a settlement, he's negative 200 hates me. I think, unfortunately, we are going to be exterminating. I really didn't want to have to kill him. I actually was going to let him live, but he gives me no choice. Do I want to force march, or do I want to recruit in my side? I get the feeling that it might actually not be enough. I'm going to force march because I get the feeling I might not make it in time to the next settlement. So yeah, we'll just move up there. We'll take that, and then we'll go kill Malachi. Because once again, I don't want to deal with God Trick. I don't want to deal with thunder barges. I don't want to deal with magic damage cannons. There's a lot of things you don't want to deal with. So let's actually get my infections going. We are actually making an infection profit, which is good. I don't have my chieftains. Should I? I don't know if I should get a unit. I'll get a unit and I'll try it out. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to make money in the world. Like I used to do like surveys, and like back in the day, there was actually, you could make actually a decent amount of money on surveys. Now I think it's harder because I think like AI like scrapes those things and blah blah blah. So there's not a lot of money to be made, but it's what it is. Now once again, let's focus. My goal is to make it all the way over to Nuln. I always like to have an objective for this gameplay, so we're gonna crawl our way all the way across Nuln. Ideally, we hold on to the territory as we go, but if we end up like just me and the boys, making our way all the way over to Nuln, I guess I'll do that. Let me go check on my actually win conditions, because they have updated win conditions for the factions inside of this mod. So, because all of the factions are in different places, right? If I was specifically targeting, like whoever I'm supposed to kill normally, it might be a bit hard. Oh, hello, that's a full stack. That actually promises to be a good fight. So I think they've updated your win conditions to reflect your new starting position and who's around you. I bet you one of my win conditions is killing Malachi, realistically speaking. Because, like, if you're playing a campaign in this area, killing the guy who's, like, the strong, real faction next to you is probably a pretty good thing to do. Let me see, let me see. I'm just checking something 2 seconds while we are, let me just do that. Yeah, once again, that is the downside of this mod. Is like, end turn, for someone who, like me, has a pretty decent computer and can end turn relatively fast, waiting as long as I'm waiting for end turns is kind of like, it's a bit slow. Now, if you want to be healthy about it, I would say you can do, like, push-ups in between the end turns. Obviously, I'm streaming, so I'm doing this, right? Like, if you want to do, like, you do a few squats in between each time you end the turn, it can actually be, like, healthier. Let's get this. And let's just keep recruiting regiments right now. I only have 1 army right now, so I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't actually have many natural enemies. I'm kind of surrounded by people who I'm relatively friends with, so it's very safe. And right now, I'm pumping all of my money back into my economy, right? Infections per turn 20, that's good. Let's keep developing my economy. So yeah, I don't have money to support another army just because I'm sinking it all into... yeah, you know what? You're completely out of the way from my actual attack plan. I don't mind being friends with you right now. I'm gonna go kill Malachi. Once I've dealt with this, that's just... Okay, that's a pretty shit army. There's a few good units in there, but overall, it's not exactly gonna be a challenge. I don't think I was initially concerned for a second because I saw, like, the Kossars and stuff, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think we're gonna beat them. 2 seconds, let me see. Just reply to something. Yeah, let me just answer that. Someone just DM'd me directly. I have a bad habit of... I think when you work on your phone, like I do, it's kind of hard to put your phone down, ever. So... You get in this bad habit, like, for work I need to reply to my phone, so it becomes very hard to, like, put your phone down for when you're not working so much. So I'm always near my phone and I always reply to messages very fast. It's not great. It's not a great thing. I wish I could, like, do, like, a longer amount of tech free, but I still kind of need my phone for a lot of stuff. I need to be able to answer stuff. But at some point I'll do, like, a technology like detox. So, like, in March I will be going on vacation for a decent period of time. Yeah, so in March I'm going to be going on vacation. I'm going to go on a beach with my son and my wife. It'll be his first beach trip. It's going to be great. So that being the case, I'm not going to, like, I'm probably actually am going to put my phone down more than I normally do. And I appreciate Open. If you're watching me on I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let me say, I'm streaming. Will follow up later. So I actually think that, like, when I'm on vacation, I am gonna take the time to, like, not be on my phone, like, take a break from it. I think it'll be good. Because it's very easy to just, like, you always have a good reason to be on your devices, right? Like, but realistically, you're still doing a lot of, like, scrolling and a lot of stuff you know, you shouldn't be doing, realistically speaking. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, hello, you are still here. I think we can fight him. I think we can beat this. Like, it doesn't work quite so good. Like, it is a big army, right? But there's nothing particularly tough in it. But, like, I think, yeah. So in March, I'll be taking a bit of a streaming break. Sorry to announce it in advance, you know. I'll be spending time with my family again. Once again, terrible. I know. But let me do the growth one. Let me do the recruitment, and let me do the upkeep. Once again, I'm just spitballing. I've played Nurgle before, but, like, I really didn't, like, I just powered through it to beat the faction more than I, like, I specifically was trying to master Nurgle. Because I'm not a big Satan worshiper in general. I like my guns, and I like my missiles. To be honest with myself, that's my preferred way to play. I like my artillery, I like my guns. I like a lot of factions that have strong gun lines that I can really let that to bear. And obviously Nurgle is not really about that. Nurgle is about, you know, massive, slow moving infantry that will like crush you under just massive healing caps and stuff, right? That's the proper way to do Nurgle. So it's a bit alien to me, but that's also what I've been enjoying so far. It's like, this is new. I like, it's different. But yeah, look, just once again, my advice, Neov, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is just like, try a base faction. The Christmas sale is still going to be a decent amount of time, right? You have time to like try out a faction or two, and then if you enjoy them and you're sure you're going to play them more, then get their DLC. But don't just get DLC for the sake of getting DLC. It's a nasty trap to fall into, because like there are DLCs for this game where I bought it and like, did I really get value out of it? Not sure, right? Not sure. So you don't want to be quite in that situation. It's not good to fall into. Let's keep going though. You still around, Tarny? I haven't heard from you in a while. Let me keep pushing. He's running away. That's annoying. The good news is we do need to move back in this direction anyways, right? So it's actually not the end of the world if I have to chase him over this way.
I obey only the winter.
Yeah, as I said, if you don't like, if you like Empire and you like Lizardman, which you've pretty much mentioned you do, right? Like you might want to get the Huntsman Expedition. I forget what the proper name for it, but like the Marcus Wolfheart Nakai DLC, it will give you units for both. There we go. We have the big lizard. It will give you units for both, and you can like properly Plague Ogres. I don't think I really need Plague Ogres right now. Lumbering Horrors. Okay, you have that. Well then, okay. Well, you see, all my recommendations are pretty much there. So just play what you've got. Honestly, like by the sounds of it, you've got a lot of stuff. Like when you like the deals, like sales are not every day, right? But they're not exactly rare in this game. Like you don't need to like just get something just because it's on sale. In the future, when you find factions you like, get them on sale. But you don't need to rush. It's very easy to feel like you need to rush in this game, and like with this, that's the point of a sale, right? It's like, oh, buy. Maybe not everything you need, but you don't need to. You don't need to. I am definitely not playing Tamurkhan optimally. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Now let's go kill. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, the donut? Did you? On the other hand, I'm gonna be a hypocrite. Did you get anything on this sale? But yeah, especially now that they're gonna be releasing DLC more often. It's probably more likely that you're actually going to like, you're gonna have a sale when they release a DLC. You're gonna have, they do a quarterly sale and then they do a sale when they release DLC. So, oh yeah, did you hear the news, by the way, for both of you? The Neferata DLC that they hinted at is no longer going to be a standalone DLC like they were doing. It's actually going to be the free Legendary Lord for the End Times DLC. So they hinted that Neferata was going to be a standalone DLC that was probably going to come before the End Times DLC, but now it's standalone. And now they are well, the new Slanesh is not actually on sale. You don't actually get a sale for it. So you didn't need to rush it. But and then what they're going to do instead is the new legendary pack that they're releasing. So they're going to release a standalone lord before the End Times. It's going to be a cafe lord. Now, it's not very clear who it's going to be. It could either be Monkey King, it could be Ying Ying, it could be Tigerman. There's a few options. But they've released in a press release last night that they are going to do a standalone DLC for Cafe, just like a legendary lord and like a few units. So yeah, there will be a DLC releasing before, and they will probably run a sale for that. Yeah, it is Cafe. Legends of Total War is right yet again. They are releasing that Cafe DLC. They seem to be flip-flopping plans behind the scene a lot. Like, because like it was only a few months ago that that they were like, oh, we're releasing Neferata. Now it's like, oh, we're not releasing Neferata. Neferata is going to be included in the End Times DLC. Like, I don't understand why they keep changing plans so often. Like, you'd think that they'd have a plan going forward more than like 2 weeks, but they don't seem to, and it's a little concerning, you know? It's a little... no, it doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Do I want a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, a Chaos Lord, or a Herald? I want to get a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. I just want a bit of armor. I just basically want to hold here in case they come over and just leave them alone. So the Old World mod is this mod I'm playing here. And I think for the next stream I will turn on the ability to but it is like a mega map. Do you see how big the map is that I'm scrolling? Like, there's like 400 factions, there's a massive amount of settlements. You see things you recognize, so this is the graveyard. You see the Maelstrom graveyard is one settlement, here it's a whole region. So it's like, it is the old world. So here, let me give you an idea. This is, all of you see here is the Empire and Kislev. And it is like many, 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 many settlements. Oh yeah, here, yeah, that's a good point. Let me do the save screen. Here's the map. It is completely different to the standard map. You are playing with new factions. You are playing with new units, new enemies. So you're really mixing it up, and like, it is very fun. Now there are some downsides. It is much more intense for your computer to run. My computer's actually been pretty silent about it. It's not complaining too much. But like, it's warm though, and the load times can be difficult. If you don't have the best computer, I don't recommend this mod. You also need to use Mixu's Unlocker as like a separate mod to be able to like use this mod. But it's very fun. It really mixes it up. It gives you a much bigger sense of scale. If you like map painting, you know, if you like just conquering the world, you've got a world in front of you to conquer. It's definitely a big scale to it. Let me just get some proper units in this army. It's very fun. It's worth trying out at least one. If you have a favorite legendary lord, but you're like, damn, I'm kind of bored of just fighting the same like enemies. Because like when I play Carl, I have a kill Festus, you know, kill Kazrak, kill Festus, go kill Vlad, and you've basically kind of won 1, 2, 3 to it. Now, it really mixes things up, and it's really good for that basis. But yeah, they are going to release more Cafe DLC. Once again, who it is specifically. So if you don't know, Cafe, as it exists now in lore, has only been invented in the recent years. It was invented by CA and by Games Workshop together as a collaboration, because Cafe has always existed in lore. Cafe, like, you know, the Great Wall of China, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, if you're making a fake fantasy world, you're involving in China, like, there's always been mentions of Cafe. Gotrek and Felix go to Cafe, but it's off screen. It's only recently that it's become like a real place with real lore, and like they've established it. But because of that, CA is contractually obligated to release all of the dragon children that are alive into the game, so that way they can make you buy the miniatures later because they release it in Old World. Honestly, I don't play Old World, but I want to get a Terracotta Sentinel because damn, those things, like, if you Google Terracotta Sentinel Terracotta Sentinel miniature, that thing looks pretty neat. And it is surprisingly easy to paint from what I gather. So like, I think I'm gonna get one and just like put it up. At some point, I'm gonna work on my background, so I don't have a huge amount of space behind me. I'm not showing the other way of the room because it's all like my kid stuff and it's like stuff that I don't want to like show the room. So I like having the PC facing this way because then I can put like my son in the cage, the baby pen, the cage, whatever word you want to use for it, and that way he's not looking at the computer. I don't want to. So I'm not facing the other way around for a variety of reasons, but I do want to. I do want to start putting stuff in the background behind me at some point. So I am gonna like maybe like finish the miniatures and like put them on a little shelf. And yeah, it looks really good. So Cafe is one of those things, like, I don't enjoy Cafe specifically on I don't like, for me they're like a more annoying Empire. I like Empire more, but like the miniatures on the tabletop, there are some things that are really cool looking. The Cafe Artillery, the artillery crew, so you type in like Cafe Artillery miniature, you can build it either the Hellstorm rocket battery or the cannon. I think I'd actually do the cannon. It's another one of those like pieces. And then you finally look at the balloon, the Cafe balloon. It looks horrific to paint. You'd probably have to do it in pieces and then assemble it later, but like a well-painted one of those looks incredible. Like the one that they have on the display on the store, it looks like I've seen balloons, like cafe balloons that look like it's like actual paper that's painted so well. But it's really intricate, and it's like I have all of my Skaven on my shelf that I need to paint. So one thing at a time, right? But yeah, like that's the issue when you play Warhammer. And that's what I was saying about like the DLC is like the moment you get into Warhammer, you like when you see a good sale. So once again, Warhammer miniatures don't go on sale directly, but what they do is they do discount boxes, like temporary discount boxes where you can get really good value compared to the individual miniatures, because individual miniatures of Warhammer are relatively not cheap. Like for a bit of plastic, they're pretty pricey, right? But if you buy them as part of a bigger combo box, you get a much bigger sale. So like if you wanted to get into Skaven recently, you had the Skaven Tide box, or you have the Christmas Skaven box. The Christmas Skaven box is a pretty good value for money. It's a big discount. You get a lot of plastic that you can paint up then. And that's the way to get into Warhammer. You don't want to be buying individual one piece. That's not the point of it. You want to be buying like an army box, and that way you get a lot of things. The only thing that I'll be buying is a one piece, and I'm never gonna play Old World because I might play Age of Sigmar maybe my son, because there's like a little like but like I am gonna own a steam tank, and I am gonna paint a steam tank. Even if I have to buy as an individual model, I love the steam tank way too much and not. I'm gonna cross over his border. I hope he doesn't mind. But I'm gonna own a steam tank model. Let me pay him. That's a lot of money, but let me just pay him to like avoid any issues with him. Yeah. So Age of Sigmar is Warhammer Fantasy, but just like, so if you don't know, Warhammer's Fantasy world died. Like the world ended in the end times. Mixed opinions about that. And then, but a lot of the characters, so your Tyrion, your Teclis, your Malekith, your Skaven, all of your Skaven pretty much, your Archaeons, and your blah blah blah, they survived. I'm gonna be doing a lore video on like the factions in this game, like explaining the lore, but like I might do an AOS explanation later, or like a how do you buy miniatures for this game, like if you like Warhammer or Warhammer Fantasy. But so AOS has a lot of returning things and a lot of new things. But Skaven, for example, are basically a one-to-one with some new toys. Like if you like Skaven in Total War, you can just buy Skaven pretty much as is and play them inside AOS, because AOS does this like game mode that's called Spearhead, which is basically this like, you don't need to buy a full army, you just buy this little box, and this little box plays inside like a smaller version of the game, which is basically just like a board game, except you use the pieces you painted. And like, I actually don't have any idea how to play the game. I'm gonna be entirely honest, I have no idea how to play Warhammer on the tabletop. I actually just like it as a painting project. But in the future, it's like I have a painting project, I've painted them, and then I can play them maybe with my son someday, if he's interested. So like, that's how I engage with the tabletop. So like, buying things like a Cafe Sentinel or a Steam Tank technically don't do anything for me, because it's not like the game mode that I've kind of bought into. I have a lot of like different spearheads that I'm painting. But like, I still want the Cafe Sentinel because it looks cool. And honestly, what you can do with the Cafe Sentinel is I'm going to use it as a decoration for the board. So it's just like you see in Cafe, it's just a part of the scenery. He's just painted up and he's just on the board like that. That's my plan with it. And then a Steam Tank is just because Empire is my favorite faction. I love me a Steam Tank. They look neat. They're cool. They perform really well. It helps. I think if Steam Tanks performed like a war wagon, I'm not sure I would have the attachment to them that I do, as much as they are cool. But a Steam Tank performs really well. You know, it looks the part, and it acts the part, and that's what makes for really fun units. Also, I have my oh yeah, Dodona, do you like Skaven? Or am I just talking to I think Neov here likes Skaven. Google, both of you, even if you don't like Skaven, Google Storm Fiends. Google what a Storm Fiend is. There is so much to look forward to if you love Skaven and the End Times DLC. I have 3 of them on the shelf, and my objective is to have those painted before the DLC comes out, goddammit, because they look incredible. They are one of the best units that I'm looking forward to for Skaven. They are, like, literally, they are some of the best Skaven anything in the game. So it is a rat ogre that they mutated, right? So they've added a bunch of guns to it and they made it smarter, but the issue is because when they made it smarter initially, it became too smart and became completely uncontrollable. So what they do is, at the back of a Storm Fiend is a brain rat. It's like this little like nerd rat, doesn't do anything. Yeah, they are in Vermintide. It's a fun game, and they are like the brains of the operation. So it's this big hulking rat, has a little rat on the back, and you can build it in like weapons. So there are melee variants of it, there are weapons team variants of it, and all in all, they are really fun in Vermintide. They're a horrific enemy. Try to shoot them in the back, because once again, they have an exposed back. Even in the End Times book I was reading, like they managed to get a shot off on one into the brain of and then it kind of goes feral and goes wild. I'm actually wondering whether it will actually have a going wild mechanic when they release it on the. But I am looking forward to Storm Fiends so much. Like, I'm not so excited about Vermin Lords. Vermin Lords, they don't excite me very much. So basically, they're like Skaven Greater Demons. So you're like your Bloodthirster or your Great Unclean One. Vermin Lords is like your Skaven version of that. But Storm Fiends, ooh, Storm Fiends are neat. I'm looking forward to like playing Storm Fiends. But you see, the donut. This is what I mean by like, this is the utter negative of the mod, is like turn times already take a bit of time in the normal game mode, but in the old world they take a second. Like, I have a very good computer. This is on a very good NVMe SSD and a good processor, but still turn times take a minute. But what was I saying? Like, yeah, there are so many things to look forward to. I'm looking forward to what it will bring for the Empire, because look, this is my question. Like, as an Empire player, I want Empire to have better frontline infantry. But at the same time, if the Empire has everything, that's kind of not great for balance, you know? Because like, if we have really good infantry, we have really good artillery, we have very good cavalry, we have very good guns. At some point, we kind of have everything. So I'm kind of worried that they're going to add, like, they're going to make Empire too good to the point that it's like kind of not balanced. Maybe they only add them as part of like Boris's faction, right? But there's other things. If you like Empire, Google a Celestial Hurricanum. It's one of those units that, like, I have no idea what it does in lore, but I've seen a picture of it and it's like, I want that. That looks cool. That looks different. That looks unique. I want to try that. Definitely. And I'm hoping it's good. What I presume it is, by the looks of it, once again, I am assuming, I don't know. What I'm assuming it is it's like a wizard mount. So, you know, you shove a wizard on that and he gets like the magic boost. That's my theory. But once again, I don't know. I've only started reading. I'm reading through the Warhammer books slowly. So I've read through Gotrek and Felix, and I've read through. I'm almost done with the End Times books, which I'm really not reading that in the correct order. And I also read the Tyrion. I took a break from the End Times book after the High Elf one, the Elf one, and I started reading the Tyrion and Teclis books, which are good books. As I've mentioned a few times on stream, like, are they the most complex piece of writing ever? No. There is an enemy wizard called Casterman. Casterman. Once again, I think the writer felt very proud of himself with that one, which, to be honest, I am a father now. I can appreciate that kind of pun. But at the same time, they are good books. They teach you about the elves and all of those things. And like, that's a neat part about reading the Warhammer books themselves, is like, you'll read about a book. So you'll read a Gotrek and Felix book and you'll read about like Nuln, or you'll read about like some part of the world, right? And then when you see it on the map later, you actually like, oh, like, I know this place. Or like they go to like Tomb King's area. So they go where to like Khalida is. And you now I recognize some of the landmarks there, blah, blah, blah. And like, using the, like, once again, at the end of the day, as I've always said, Warhammer books, be they 40K or Age of Sigmar or fantasy, exist to sell you plastic miniatures. That is the entire reason all of the lore around these games exist. But Warhammer lore has reached the point where it actually can stand up on itself. Gotrek and Felix is a very fun fantasy world, even if you're not ever going to buy the miniatures. So that's good, because the best kind of marketing is marketing that stands up on its own, you know, because like if you're so many people watch, like, end up hearing about 40k lore or fantasy lore because they see like YouTube shorts about 40k lore. Or you watch like the Bricky video on like 40k lore, and then you start knowing more and more about this Warhammer thing, and then you end up buying Total War Warhammer, and now look at me now. Like, so if your marketing apparatus is good enough, then like, hey, that works for itself, right? Also, where is Malachi? Malachi is not home. I'm not complaining, but I kind of want a bit of a matchup, because right now, let's be honest, I am too overpowered for the A. I am playing on very hard, right? Oh. Okay, let me change the stat modifiers, but I was playing on very hard. So Malachi should be building an army. He probably wandered off this way. Like, he's probably still around. But what was I saying? Like, it is being able to explore the world is very fun. Once again, you recognize things, you recognize buildings, you recognize places, you get a better idea of characters. So some characters are very well executed. I think Malekith, if you don't know, is a little bit inconsistent in his characterization. Cause like in like the Tyrion and Teclis book, you are actually you do get his perspective, and he's very much like hamming it up, evil for evil's sake. Now, when you read about him in like, let me try to give him this. No, not that one. Let me try to give. I don't think he's gonna be pieced out, but hey, I'm gonna try. Yeah, when you read about him in the End Times book, they try to like, because he ends up being a good guy, right? They give him much more of a like, Malekith is a dark elf fella, so I'll go into his story in a second. But they actually give him the backstory of like more of a like I'm evil because I'm the head guy of the faction of betrayers. So if I show a moment of weakness, I will be killed by my followers. And that's kind of the angle they go for. But so they kind of change his characterization. He wasn't like that originally. So Malekith's whole deal is that the High Elves, or the elves in general, have basically their Sigmar. So their Sigmar is a guy called Anirian. If you've ever played a High Elf campaign, they've mentioned Anirian a few times. They'd like to mention Anirian a lot. Oh, I found what's his face? And Anirian is basically Elven Sigmar. He is the dude. He defeated 4 greater demons at once. He picked up the Sword of Cain. He did all of the thing. And his kid, he's had two lines of kids. So his first wife, he had 2 kids with his first wife, who was the first ever queen, and he thought they all died. We'll get back to that later. And then he has a second wife, which is Marathi, which he really wasn't kind of in love with, but you know, you're fighting for a long time. You need kind of a snuggle buddy. She was hot. He didn't mind that too much. I'm sure it didn't hurt. And they have, and I kid you not, it is described in the book. It is actually literally written very, like, matter of fact, very good sex. They were having a good time. They were enjoying it. He has a kid called Malekith, and Malekith, when his dad ends up disappearing, spoilers, I'm not going to tell you how or what, blah blah blah. When Malekith ends up disappearing, when Anirian ends up disappearing, Malekith is like, hey, my dad was the big boss. I am the son of the big boss. I should be king. And, you know, that doesn't quite work out for him, because by then he's already kind of getting influenced by the whole Marathi thing. So he doesn't end up getting the vote. Well, why are we getting attrition? Should we be getting attrition from mountains at this point? Maybe it's just a thing. Once again, I want to grab that is not a good army. Where are they? Where's Gotrek and Felix? This is disappointing. But so he tries to get the Phoenix Throne. It doesn't work out for him. You know, he becomes human barbecue. I think most people know that much about him. He ends up walking to the fire. So High Elves It's actually the settlement next to Lavern. They don't really bring a lot of attention to it on the map. But there is a map, there is a settlement there. The Shrine of Assyrian is part of what you can get there. And you if you want to become Phoenix King, you have to walk into the flame. The god judges you, and if you're seemed worthy, congratulations, you get a bit of a power boost. You're not quite like divinely powerful, but you do get a bit of you are a bit special from then on, right? Like not special in like the stupid way, but like just you're a little bit more than human. I think that's the way like it's best described. It's like you are just a little bit more. You have a bit of divine power. Now, if you are found not worthy, you get turned into a crispy barbecue, which is what happened to Malekith. So Malekith got turned into a little crispy barbecue, and that's why he looks, he's wearing the Darth Vader armor basically, and he spends a lot of like 6,000 years in torment. Now, he learns magic from Marathi. He is a very, very good wizard. So basically, he doesn't live off food anymore. He lives off magical energy. He is the Witch King. So as you can imagine from someone called the Witch King, he's not a bad wizard. There's a lot like going right for himself. But once again, you learn all of these things about it. Like, you get more characterization. And once again, that's interesting. I don't enjoy Dark Elves in the game. I don't find them very exciting as a faction. They don't speak to me. But learning a little bit more about their society is kind of interesting, right? Because, they have several competing factions. Because here's the thing about why Warhammer makes for a very good Total War game. It's like, and it also makes for, because they have to make it a tabletop game, they have to have justifications why 2 Dark Elf players are fighting. They have to have justifications why 2 High Elf factions are fighting, which is a little bit harder to justify. You have to have justifications for why 2 Dwarf players are fighting. Now, to be fair, there's not actually a lot of justification why 2 Dwarf players are fighting. 2 Dwarf players should not be fighting. But because there's all of this, they have to have a little bit of infighting built into like every faction, so that it allows for the ability when you're across the table from someone, which makes it really good for Total War. And that was what the issue with like Total War, before they announced Total War 40K, which was pretty much a guarantee, there was talk that it was going to be Total War Star Wars. And the issue with Total War Star Wars was going to be that there's not that many factions, which is problem 1. And then B, on top of that, the factions they do have don't have a lot of infighting. So like if they broke down the Republic into like the Mace Windu faction and the Anakin faction and the Obi-Wan faction, there's not a lot of justification for infight. They're really like, especially during like war against the Separatists, there wouldn't be like a massive civil war. So that was a bit of an issue with Total War Star Wars, and I'm kind of glad that they changed it up. No, they made it 40K because I really want it. Clone Wars, Total War Clone Wars would be great. I would love it. It's just like from a gameplay perspective, there's some hesitations there. But yeah, like once again, Malice Darkblade dies very unceremoniously. He deploys a demon and still dies. That is spoilers from Malice Darkblade. Malice Darkblade doesn't have a lot going on in the end times, from what I've read. Basically, he just kind of dies. Like, he does deploy the demon, and then he still loses. So, I don't even remember who he loses. It's so, like, uneventful that I don't even remember who he loses against. It's kind of underwhelming. Sorry about that. But, yeah, we lost that settlement. I don't mind that. I'm going to hold here. We had some Forsaken. We're gonna get some units in here. We have a spare army. Once again, with the defenses, we have the barricade building. We have some units. We'll hold this settlement. He can't take that from me. I kind of want to wait for Malachi to come jump me now. But yeah. I forgot where I was going by talking about Malekith. Like, so, and then what happens is that it turns out that Anirian's first family is still alive. At least his kids are. His wife very much died. His wife got Nakari'd. Probably wasn't a good time. Wasn't a good time for her in general. Nakari is not a nice guy, as you can imagine, from a demon of Slanesh. So she got Nakari, but the wood elves, so especially the wood elf spirits, hide away his kids because when he started picking up the Sword of Cain, he kind of became a little bit evil. He kind of became a little bit like out of control, and they were a little bit concerned. So they did something that probably is not the most ethical thing. Like I wouldn't be huge if someone hid my kids from me, but they decided to hide his kids from him to like keep them protected while he's holding the Sword of Cain, because like the Sword of Cain has a lot of negative influences, not only to yourself when you hold the Sword of Cain, but it also affects like the people around you, So like the armies of Anirian were getting much more bloodthirsty, and a lot of those became the Dark Elves. So there's actual reasons why they became evil. Now, obviously, in 40k, they just became evil because we need to, otherwise Slanesh will eat us. But they don't have that. They don't have that reason in fantasy. In fantasy, Dark Elves are evil slavers who'd like to torture things, and just for the love of the game, really, they're just like because we can. Like Slanesh still likes elf souls. She prefers them, but they don't have that like tug on it that like they do in 40k. It's not quite the same backstory because unlike 40k, Slanesh has always existed in Warhammer Fantasy, but obviously in 40k she was kind of birthed, orgied into existence, to be technical, if you want to use the scientific term about it. I'm sure you'll appreciate that, Neov. You see I'm using scientific language. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot that goes on. Like once again, so you do have the negative. So because he picked up the sword, Cain, his bloodline is cursed, right? So everybody who was ever born, so his kids or his generation, but after that, yeah, where's my quest battles? I only get my quest battles at like this level. That's kind of strange. Like I'd expected like a quest battle to happen like way earlier. So let me just, you know what? I'm gonna unga bunga into it. Ooh. Decisive defeat. Maybe not. Maybe not. I've never. Maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'm not ready. So the curse of Cain, the curse of Anirion, the curse of Cain is not a specific thing, and it shows up differently in each person. So every generation they get tested. So like for Teclis, he's a bit sick, which it doesn't sound that bad in of its. Oh, that's a problem. It doesn't sound that bad of in itself, but when your entire species basically never gets sick, being the one guy in your entire species who is actually like really like sick is a bit of an issue, it's a bit weird. It kind of makes him a bit of an outsider. For Tyrion, like now Teclis still gets all the magical potential, and he still gets all the magical potential because he is a descendant of Cain. Do I want to peace out the Skaven? Yes, I want to peace out the Skaven right now. I'm losing a settlement that I don't want to lose, but I don't have the armies right now to like contest that right now. So that's a bit unfortunate. I really hope I really don't like that I had to do that, but I'm gonna fight. So Tyrion, Teclis gets the magical potential. Tyrion gets the military ability. Like he can pick up any weapon, and he knows instinctually how to use it. He's one of the greatest like warriors that the elves have ever seen. All of those things. But the issue for Tyrion is obviously there's a lot of anger. He's very comfortable killing, like very like bloodthirsty, and obviously he has an interest in the Sword of Cain. But it's also interesting to note that like Malekith, like the Sword of Cain calls to Malekith too, right? It appeals to him because he is also a descendant, right? So, but he resisted. He actually, out of the three of them, he resists it much more than like Tyrion does. No problem. Once again, I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll be continuing. There'll be a much bigger stream tomorrow. So feel free to stop by, and I appreciate the sub. Thanks for coming by and talking. So Tyrion's whole deal is that obviously the Sword of Cain appeals to him, and in the end times, spoilers, he gives into it, and he has to be killed. Because once again, the end times decided that, you know who will make the main character for the elves? Malekith. The guy we've been treating as the evil bad guy for like most, and that's why I understand that like if you are a High Elf fan, so like Pancreas No Works is a big YouTuber, right? He covers a lot of High Elf. He likes elves. He covers a lot of Warhammer lore. He likes elves, and like the reason why he's so upset about it, and I kind of reading the books, I kind of understood is like if you're like High Elf lore, and for all of High Elf lore, you know Malekith is the bad guy. It's like him being the good guy is not great. Teclis is basically a bumbling moron. So Teclis gets his brother killed. He gets his brother's daughter killed. He destroys all of Ulthuan. He decides that Malekith is the Phoenix King, so actually kills off the previous Phoenix King. He actually helps with that. Like, he runs on this like, oh, I'm doing it because like this is the path I need to like do to succeed. But the thing is like his path that he needs to do to succeed doesn't end up actually doing anything. It's not the thing. His path fails as well. So it's not even like ends justify the means, because like the ends were never like successful. He never actually like builds any, like his plan fails just as much as everyone else's plan. So if you are attached to these characters, like you don't have a lot to look forward to. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like if I can understand from a High Elf perspective, like why it feels very like done dirty. And to be fair, it is. Like I can't defend it. There's a lot of like questionable decisions. And once again, there's a lot of questionable decisions from everything, but like Fall of Ultor is a very, very dumb book for a lot of reasons. So I'm going to give you the most basic one. So Vlad has a really good moment where like Vlad finally gets to be Electric Count. So he's like, hey, if you choose to make me Electric Count, I will help you with the forces of Nurgle, because the Nurgle forces have a huge impact in the end times. The end times is basically the Nurgle mega fest. The other guys are there, right? The other, but like Nurgle's running the show. Nurgle's in charge. Nurgle's running the show. Nurgle's the big guy in charge. So, but Vlad comes in and is like, hey, Carl. Or hey, I think it was Kurt Helborg is in charge. So Kurt Helborg is the captain of the Reich Brother. He's a big character, but he's not in the game yet. So, hey, Kurt. I can save you. All you have to do is make me an Electric Count. I really, really, really want to be recognized as an Electric Count. I want the full rights, and then I will save your city. And he gets it. He gets to be Electric Count, and he gets his big moment. He comes in, he's starting to save the city, and things are turning around. So, if you're the writers of the end times, you're in a bit of a situation now, because it's like, okay, he wins. Like, Vlad and his massive army of the undead that he's literally been collecting all the way over from Sylvania, all the way over to Altdorf. And as you can imagine, during the end times, there's a lot of corpses. So he has a mega army. He wins. So he shows up to the Nurgle heroes. So the Nurgle guys in charge of this operation are the Glotkin. So the Glotkin are free brothers. Now, it'll make more sense if you Google Glotkin miniature on Warhammer store, or just in Warhammer in general. It's just like, so it's free brothers. There's one of them is like the caster one. There's one of them is like the giant monster. So if you're looking at the miniature right now, he's like a giant like mega Nurgle monster. And then there's one of them is like the melee guy. He uses a scythe. Very Nurgle, very death imagery, blah, blah, blah. And he fights the Glotkin, the melee Glotkin brother. He wipes the floor with him in 2 seconds. Like, not even a contest. Vlad is killing it. And then all of a sudden, Vlad, for some reason, decides to lick the blood off his sword. And you might be like, but Max, he's a vampire, yes. But let me just specify something. He licks the blood off his sword of a Nurgle champion, a champion of Nurgle. And he basically immediately dies from super AIDS. Like, he immediately, like, it burns him up from the inside, and he, for no reason, as he was winning, as he got everything he wanted, basically just chooses to lose. Oh, there's a lot of armies here. Screw it, we're going in. We're going in. Like, he basically just, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna drink this. I'm just going to drink the Nurgle Super AIDS, and he loses his, and obviously just like it happens in game, because the vampire count leaves, all of the units crumble, and the Empire just basically, like, his entire army collapses and Altdorf falls. Literally, because he was like, I'm gonna drink the Nurgle champion aid soup. And it's like, you didn't have to write it that way. I understand that he needed him to lose because otherwise, like, there's no fall of Altdorf if Altdorf is still standing. That's a bit of an issue. But the writer, the author basically wrote himself into a corner of like, how do I get him to lose? And like, instead of like, rewriting the earlier part of the book, so maybe like you don't write yourself into that corner. Instead, he was like, let me just do it in the most dumb, most unsatisfying way. So if you like Vlad, and if you like good storytelling, this is not the book for you. I think I've made that pretty clear. But as an Empire book, if you specifically just want to see the Empire doing Empire stuff and you like the Empire, it's actually not a terrible book. It has some very good moments for the Empire. There's some very good Karl Franz moments. There's some very good like moments for a lot of factions. It is just not a good bit of writing if you like specific factions. But once again, the fall of Altdorf, it involves like the fall of the Empire. So like there's a lot of battles. So like at the start of the book, Karl loses a fight on the battlefield, and you read about like Empire and like the formations and like the battle tactics and like Karl's role in the army. And then later you have the siege of Altdorf, which, as you can imagine, you get to see a lot of like units. You get to see a lot of like, there's some cool moments, a lot of good character moments and stuff. You see them like really making a desperate last stand. They know they're gonna lose because like, especially because Nurgle has been using like Nurgle magic to like, so the walls are crumbling like because they're getting like decayed. So the walls are like actually decaying like underneath them. So it obviously, they have to like do it. Festus is making a demonic summoning underneath the city. So during like most of the book, Festus is underneath Altdorf trying to summon, like trying to make a mega summon event, and basically he actually summons Kugaf. So Kugaf, the Kugaf, like shows up from underneath the city, which, as you can imagine, is not a good time for everyone involved. There's a lot that goes on there, but it is still a good book. But I don't think it damages Karl Franz. It doesn't damage the Empire. If you like the Empire, Fall of Altdorf doesn't damage the Empire. The End Times book really mess up High Elf characterization. Like a lot of characters that, if you've spent many years reading about them, become bumbling idiots. So like Teclis becomes a bumbling idiot. I'm just gonna gank. Is it a little bit fair play to gank people as they come in? Maybe not, but hey. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. It's not my fault the game gives me this mechanic. Like if you are a lover of High Elves, End Times is not the books for you. But if you like the Empire, it's actually not the end of the world. Actually, like I expected it to be a lot worse. It's not so bad for the Empire. But yeah, if you like Vlad, let's not talk about that Vlad moment. If you like High Elves, it's not a good moment for you. And Bretonia, it's not a good time for you. More from like the revelations about Bretonia. So. Bretonia's whole deal, right, is that they are King Arthur. Let's be honest about what it is. They are King Arthur. They have a lady, and like the lady of a lake, blah blah blah. Let's once again let's not be coy about where the inspirations come from. But she basically turns you, if you follow her religion, you follow her rules, she will basically turn you into a Spartan, a Halo Spartan. You are so much bigger, better, faster than the average man. You're basically like a Chaos champion, except for the good guys. And so there was like a whole benefits to like joining the religion and stuff. And then it turns out that her whole religion was a lie. You're being manipulated by elves, and like you're like one of the only gods in the setting that is not real. Because like every god in War, like I want to say, I know I'm pretty much quoting the Pancreas No Works video on this one, but like like that criticism is correct. Is like every god, and you really see them because a lot of the gods take a part in the End Times. Is a lot of gods take part in the End Times in one way or another. There's a lot of like gods walking around. There's a lot of them participating. That all happens. And on the other hand, if you are a Bretonia player, your god was a lie. You're the only faction who doesn't actually have a real god. Your whole religion's a lie. Your king, your main character basically dies unceremoniously. Like Nuln Leoncoeur doesn't really get a good moment. Bretonia basically gets deleted before End Times even starts. In a war because his bastard son. So Nuln Leoncoeur has a bastard son who became a vampire because he didn't get to become a Grail Knight. So he didn't get the power buff, and he's kind of salty about it. So instead, he becomes like a vampire. He unites a lot of evil factions under the influence. It's part of what like leads to Nagash, under the influence of Archon the Black, and they use it. He gets it to like get certain relics that Bretonia is holding on to it to get to Nagash's resurrection. So really, Bretonia doesn't get a good moment to shine. Bretonia, like, the best moment Bretonia has in the End Times is literally just going over to fight at Altdorf. They do show up. He makes a good show of himself, but then Nuln Leoncoeur basically dies. So if you were hoping he does anything interesting, he dies protecting a city that's not even his own city. I wouldn't call that very satisfying. I wouldn't call that very satisfying. Sorry, Gabrielle. Yeah, if you like don't read End Times. If you like Bretonia, don't read End Times. I'm sure there are very good Bretonia books. But yeah, End Times is not one of them. Also, I don't know why, but it really bothered me. The End Times book spend like several descriptions. They describe him a lot because they really draw attention to the fact that like Nuln Leoncoeur in the End Times book has blonde hair to the point that they bring it up often. They're like, oh, his blonde hair, his blonde hair, his blonde hair, his blonde hair. And then you look at him in games, like, he has brown hair. So I'm like, I'm not sure which one's correct, but I just wanted to be consistent, you know? I just wanted to be consistent about which one it is. Also, I don't like Nuln Leoncoeur because for some reason he has like 30% missile resistance and like 45% ward save. When you play against him as Ikit Claw, he will get to your gun line. You really can't stop him from getting to your gun line. Like the rest of his army will be dead, but Nuln Leoncoeur will make it to your gun line. It's kind of disgusting how he does that. So that was very clean. They didn't get to summon the airship. Yeah, we'll hope that he gives me more of a challenge because so far I'm kind of cutting through his lines. Okay, look, did I cheese by killing all of his artillery as they came in on the map? Yes. But once again, I'm not the one who made the mechanic that I can just... I'm not not letting their artillery set up. I think is pretty reasonable. I don't think that letting their artillery set up would have been a very good plan for me. But yeah, once again, some factions do pretty good. I feel like the dwarfs is a mixed bag. So the dwarfs have some really good moments. So you read about the last stand of Belegar and his crew. The ones that are trying to take back Carrot Apex. And you really like the Skaven make a good showing. You really like see the Skaven tactics. You see the dwarves. They make a glorious last stand. Now, there's some moments when they kind of make it like, hell, my whole plan to take over Carrick 8 Peaks was stupid all along. And to be honest, it probably was, right? But like, I don't think he should be saying that. I think he should be pretty dead set on like, I was like trying to live up to my glory. And then they have a really good moment where like, his wife, so the men obviously go out dying, and then the kids are hiding at the back. So his wife makes a really like strong last stand, and his son, who's 10, like puts on his little bit of armor, and he stands next to his mother, and they wait for the inevitable. And like, and they don't like you like, and you think, okay, they're gonna get saved, and you keep waiting. Like as I'm reading this, like I'm gonna get saved because I know that some dwarf characters make it into AOS. So like the White Dwarf, Gotrek, they all make it to AOS. So I was kind of thinking like, okay, they're gonna save the son, because they mentioned the whole book about like how his son is the hope for the future of the dwarves. He will make a good king one day. He's a good leader. He's like 50, which like for dwarf age is like 10, or something like that. Like he will become something. And then no, the Skaven break into that, and like very unceremoniously, like he dies. Like they hey, the Skaven immediately detect that he's the weak point, and they die. And then you read it from the mother's perspective, who's like, who has to keep fighting because like, okay, her son died, her husband's dead, but she has to fight. She has no other choice because, you know, the Skaven, they take her alive, it won't be a good time for her. So she goes down fighting and she really makes a last stand out of it. And she really like, she kills like hundreds of Skaven. And at one point, like, but that's Skaven, right? 100 Skavens is not so impactful. And like, she, at some point they throw a poison, you know, they throw poison gas into the room because, you know, Skaven will use all those things. Like, so she has to make a run out of it, but unfortunately she breathes it in. So you really get those like, those final moments of just like, knowing you're gonna die, knowing that your son is dead, knowing that your husband's dead, and it's like, fuck, you know, look, that's a pretty good moment. Like, that made me care about a bunch of characters that like, I didn't particularly care about before. It's like, that gets you. And I think part of it is like, you know, I'm a dad now, so it's like, I wouldn't want to think about that for my son or my wife now, but like, there's a good moment. And then you get to the famous moment that everybody hates about, like, so that's a really well done moment. It makes you care about a conflict that I didn't particularly care about before. It's a well done story. And then you get to the point that everybody likes to meme about for end times dwarfs, which is like, you know, he left the door open and then he dies. And that moment is exactly as dumb as it is. Thankful is actually gets magicked into Forgrim's perspective. So Thankful gets to experience the death firsthand. I'm not really sure what that added to the story, but yeah, Thankful was watching the death of the Dwarven High King by you know, assassin rat, Eshin. Also, Eshin can cut people's heads off with the tail, so he's cutting off the Dwarf's High King's head while his body is like, and he's facing another direction. His tail is just like cutting off the head on its own. And I don't know, that image like is both like kind of, I think it's just like, while it's really cool from the Skaven perspective that he can do it, I guess it's cool that he can like control his tail and like do like independently. Also, from the dwarf perspective, I feel like that just adds like insult to injury. Like, he's just cutting off the king's head, like this character you've probably been reading about for 20 years. He's cutting off his head, like without even like looking at him. He's just kind of doing it as an afterthought while he's like checking up on like and making sure that he's being sneaky. And it's just like, that's just unnecessarily cruel. And like, once again, yeah, the moment where it's like, oh yeah, he died because he forgot to close the door is dumb. So what happens after that is like, they just had this glorious moment of success where like the dwarves had like pushed out, he had killed Belagar, the dwarves had made a glorious charge out, and they really like turned the tides of battle. Instead of like cowering in their holds, like they actually pushed out, and he was about to go like give aid to the Empire, and he was gonna make a glorious last stand of it. And then once again, he gets deleted, and they take this opportunity to like, after he's killed the High King, right? They summon in, he basically draws a summoning pentagram, and he basically just summons in hordes of oh, we got some guns over there. Let me go shut that down. He just basically like does a summoning circle, and like, oh yeah, here's the thing we need to be worried about. And he basically just brings in hordes and hordes of Skaven into Kazakh-Karak. And you know, that's the end of the dwarfs after such a high note. And like, I get it, the perspective is like, you know, we have a high note, but it was, you know, it's all gonna end, it was all for nothing. But like, it feels really disrespectful. It's like, I can like, and like, especially after you just kicked, once again, you just kicked Belagar in the balls, you just killed off his son. And then like, you did it in a way that like, it feels like, okay, a kid and his mom just died, so like, it doesn't feel good, right? But it feels proper, you know, like it is a heroic last stand. They make a good showing of themselves and blah blah blah. But no, it's just like, oh, he forgot to close the door. Like it is as stupid as all of the memes make it out to be. He forgot to close the door, and yeah, you know, he just sneaks in and murders them, and then like and then they have an easy access that because nobody knows about the secret passage. So Clan Eshin then murders all of the hold, because they attack from an unexpected angle. It's like, once again, they are like, I understand it from the writer's perspective that it's got to be hard for the writers, right? Because like, you know, you are ordered to kill off this setting that people really care about. There's no good way to do that. Like, as someone who's tried writing before, like I can understand like, like I would not want to be the writer who does that, but at the same time, just because you are in this difficult writing position, there are still things that you did in that book where you wrote yourself into that corner. Because that's the important thing to realize is like, everything in a book happens because we are getting cut to pieces because I have yeah. I forgot about the Doom Seekers. And I can't deal with the blimp. So that's not a good combination. It's like, just because you wrote yourself into a corner doesn't mean you can't just like not do that. You could just not write yourself into that corner where like, okay, the dwarves have won. So now we need to like find some stupid way for them to win. You could make them a glory. I think it would have been better instead of like they push out of the city and they kill like endless dwarfs, and then you can make it like a chaos trick, or you can make it like some Skaven trick as to why like it doesn't end up working for them, but being like giving them like this glorious moment of like heroic victory, and it's like, haha, they lose anyways because he left the door open, so it was all for nothing, and this all glorious moment you've been reading about doesn't mean anything. Once again, there are moments where once again, I can understand the frustration. I can understand why people don't like it. I can understand why it's not great. Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna bounce in a few minutes myself. Actually, I'm gonna finish this fight. I'm gonna finish this turn. Let me just kill the last Slayer. I think there's a Slayer somewhere, isn't there? It is a Slayer, Goblin Hewer. Okay, let me go murder that. We'll finish this turn and we'll leave it here. And oh, you're not gonna watch tomorrow's. No problem. So I'll see you after the holidays then. Likewise. See you next year, or see you after Christmas, or whenever it is. And wish you Merry Christmas. And to anyone else watching, really, I think we're getting to that point where I can say it without it being like too early. Have a great Christmas. Feel free to like and subscribe. Please like the video if you liked it. It helps, I think. And definitely know if I think you commenting definitely helps. I appreciate, by the way. It's also good for morale to just chat with people. Thank you for watching. I think once again, we're just gonna finish this. We're gonna save turn. We've definitely killed probably our biggest enemy in the region. He's basically dead at this point. And have a good time wherever you're headed back to, or maybe you're going on vacation or whatever it is. Have a good time. And same with you, Gabrielle, and same with you, the Donut God. Oh, well, if you're watching this in the future, right? Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you who are watching. Like, yeah, it's always good to like, you know, streaming on your own does get a little lonely. But when it's an audience, it's good, because at the end of the day, I started streaming this game because like I'm playing this game anyways, and I'm playing this game for a very long amount of time. So I might as well stream it, right? But, you know, having an audience to chat to definitely makes it better, especially when you can talk about these topics and you can talk about these things. So, yeah, just wanted to say thanks. I think we'll end the stream here. I think it's a good point to end, and I'll be streaming tomorrow at about the same time, and I'll be going much later into the day. So if you want to keep watching, you'll be able to. See you all. Thanks for watching.